Travelers on the Omnibus occasionally touches on mature subject matter with mature language. As such, the audience discretion is advised.
Welcome back to Travelers on the Omnibus, a field trip through nerd and pop culture. I got the title right.
Yes, I was about to celebrate you, but you celebrated yourself.
Yes.
Wait, you're just chipper as all hell, aren't you, Mr. Blue Shirt Macho Man?
Yeah, even said, "Ooh, yeah."
Then
huh?
Say.
Oh yeah, you're talking to me. Shit.
Yeah, because you're wearing the Macho Man
Mr.
shirt.
Blue Shirt.
Yeah.
Shit, I am wearing a Macho Man shirt.
Yeah.
I'm Ethan Skinner.
I am James McCarthy.
I am Brady Davis.
I'm Jody Kite.
Jody, let's see what you've been doing recently.
So I think I've talked about Slay the Spire before on the show.
Yeah.
I beat the Heart, which is
very
the
nice.
boss at the end of the run after you've beaten the game with 3 characters, or the 3 main characters. And it was really fucking hard. But I had the right deck for it. I had the right relics for it. And I beat the fuck out of him with 40 max hit points, which is half of what your starting hit points are. I took a trade in one of the event rooms, which is a random generated event that happens in the question mark room. Sometimes you have to fight an enemy, or sometimes there'll be like a weird merchant that'll try and get you to do something. And they have an ability in the game called Intangible. One of the mid-bosses has it, and when it's used, whatever damage that you would do to the intangible thing, you only deal 1 damage to.
Oh, okay.
So I came across this random merchant that said, hey, if you go from 80 to 40 max hit points, I'll give you 5 cards that have Intangible 1.
Oh, okay.
And all those cards have another ability, which is, I can't remember what it's called, but if you have it in your hand and you don't use it at the end of turn, it gets exiled. So you're like, oh man, I'm fucked if I don't use it when I need to. Also, the intangible cards, they stack. So if you use 3 of them in a turn, for the next 3 turns, you have Intangible 1. So they can only do 1 damage. So I had another card in my deck that I got at the beginning of the game, luckily, that upgrades all of your cards in your deck when you cast it. So with that card and the intangible cards, when I come across the intangible cards and I don't want to use them, draw them again, they don't go away until I cast them. They get exiled when you do them, when you cast them for the first time. So with a combination of that and a couple other things, I was able to beat the Heart. But
okay.
Yeah, because when you cast a card against the Heart, when you're playing in that last boss fight, it deals a damage to you. So if you don't have the right kind of things for that to mitigate,
especially since you went from 80
to 40, yeah. So I beat that, and then another thing I did was I watched Chris Rock's new Netflix special. Which I won't talk about any of the jokes.
I want to see it,
but it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. He does this thing now in the past, I don't know, decade or so, where he will repeat a joke before he does the punchline to emphasize, the gravitas, the gravity of the joke. And so that was pretty cool. That was about really all I've done this week.
That's cool.
Okay.
For myself, we never have the host go second in turnover.
Oh my God! So we
last
now the only thing we have left is third, the elusive triple in baseball.
Yes.
So there you go.
Honestly, my life has not been exciting this week.
I could tell.
I've just been making.
We just all assumed.
Yeah. Just making some more jerky for some friends and coworkers.
Oh, jerking
Welcome
with
to Ethan. There you go. Ethan's jerking it corner.
Yeah.
I thought we said Jerk Nation.
Yeah.
No, I want it to be.
That's your fan.
I want as much innuendo in this as possible.
Welcome, Jerk Nationers.
Listeners, I am equating him doing jerky with masturbation.
That's the joke.
That is the joke.
That is the joke.
That is the joke.
See, unlike Velma, we waited to explain the joke after we told it, not before.
Yeah, so that makes us better than Velma.
Yes.
Low bar, I
even
know.
Then, yeah, like the lowest of bows.
This bottle of Frappuccino is probably better than Velma.
It probably is.
It could probably write a better episode of Scooby-Doo than Velma.
Probably could.
Other than that, I've been playing a video game for research purposes for a upcoming episode that may or may
their
not come
video
up.
games.
Yes.
Mm.
I've heard the digital world is getting very good now that Pong has gone out of favor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if you play this game and then we decide, yeah, we're not going to do that.
It's still a $20 game that I'm enjoying, I think.
Yeah, there's
Maybe.
at least that.
I may or may not be enjoying
You've limited it down to what it could be because it's a $20
It would be
game.
funnier if you ended up, I fucking hate this game. I'm so, but at least I get to talk about something in this next, and then we're like, nah, we're gonna do something else, man.
And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll actually be doing belt knit crocheting on our next episode, and you're like,
welcome to Crochet Corner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Later on NPR, we have Travelers on the Omnibus and their wonderful crocheted blanket that they've been working on since
Today we'll be using
XDX.
the 10 gauge bar for our crochet project.
There's a quilt store in Biloxi, and there's also a quilt store in Wiggins. That's too many quilt stores too close together.
Well, to be fair, I think that's pushing the national average way out of skew.
Probably.
There's one thing I wanted to say. And it's not something I did per se, but since you mentioned two quilt stores being close to each other, Pascagoula has an apothecary. It's
Do they sell leeches for you to bleed yourself with?
That's like, secret society language for a head shop, right? So they have.
That's hipster for a head shop,
Well,
sir.
in South Mississippi, that's like, don't burn us down. We sell pagan shit here.
Yeah.
And I only knew about it because I delivered an order.
Calling
to
yourself an apothecary in South Mississippi probably puts more of a target on your back than they think.
Well, yeah. But they have like all kinds of different teas and skulls and fucking.
Is one of those teas THC?
No.
They got that tea that's also ran by a cult.
Yeah, that's what you got there.
By tea, do you mean DMT?
No, I think it's Sleepy Time tea. It's kind of a cult.
Oh, okay.
There was a Behind the Bastards about
Oh,
it.
it's chloroform?
Basically.
Okay. I found out that it would take 5 minutes for someone to just, you can't dip a rag in chloroform and it would take like 5 minutes.
You have to hold it for a while.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
It's not instantaneous.
Yeah, it's not like, girl,
It's not-
I'm down.
It's not ether. Is
Oh,
what
man,
you're saying.
that ruins the fun.
Yeah, I know. So if someone says we're gonna knock them out with chloroform, tell them no. Go with the ether. Ether is the way. It is the way.
Taking notes.
The more you learn,
Jesus Christ.
the more you know.
Bing
on Travels on
bong
the
bong
Omnibus.
bing. The more you know.
Brady, what have you been doing?
Wow, the jerkin
Oh,
corner.
we did.
and
Yeah,
real
man,
quick.
the jerkin corner.
What meats are you using?
Ethan
What
just
meats are
jerked
you
it
using?
super quick, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
premature
it's,
jerking.
It's, it's
Premature
still
jerking.
beef jerky. It's still beef jerky.
It's still beef jerky.
What? Okay.
Welcome to Skeletor's jerkin corner.
No, He-Man. Don't forget the teriyaki flavor.
Hey man, I have mangoes.
Jerk what?
Jerk mangoes.
Dehydrated. We talked about that a while back.
Oh, that's right.
It's a callback. You listen to episode 20.
Hell, I'll allow it. Fuck.
I mean, I don't know.
Wasn't it at the very least? Wasn't it this season?
I think it was. I think it was this season.
I will be honest.
Okay.
You could say so. I don't know.
Yeah.
Jay's gonna go into retitle the fucking episode,
Yeah.
so it's like matches up to this one.
I'm gonna retitle all of them to mango.
Sure.
Real quick. The Whopper commercial is annoying as shit.
Yeah, it's not.
Whopper, Whopper, double Whopper,
Yeah.
Whopper, triple.
Most
Whopper,
commercials
Whopper,
nowadays are annoying as shit. But
They don't
they
remember
kind
how
of were
jingles
back
were.
then too. But like we were kids and stupid. So
Yeah.
oh, we're still talking about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Do we want to combo this up? To
We're
maybe
gonna
save some
combo
time?
it up.
Yeah.
The only other thing really was so last week. Yeah, it was last week I talked about how Gorillaz dropped a new album. Well, they recently dropped the deluxe version of it, which has 6 new songs. 2 of them are just retoolings of 2 of the other songs. and then 4 actual new songs that are pretty good. Well, 2 of them are pretty good, and 2 of them are fine. One of them is a song with Del the Funky Homo Sapien, who is the rapper off of Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
So if you like that, you'll like this. It's called Captain Chicken. He's rapping about being a chicken.
Okay.
Both metaphorically and actually. Don't ask me why. One of the other ones has one of the guys from De La Soul on it, who actually recently passed away. Trugoy the Dove, I think is his name.
I think so.
If I
you may have to point over towards that side.
if I messed it up, somebody write me in.
Correct.
And
they were in.
Jay will read that.
They were on
Feel Good Inc.
They were on Feel Good Inc.
Yeah.
But he recently passed away, and he has a posthumous lyric on.
I think this is their 6th album. As the
Who's
Gorillas,
that?
the Gorillas. I think this is their 6th album.
Probably.
Nah, I think it's actually 7 or 8. Because they had a couple that were kind of out of nowhere that I hadn't even heard of. There was Gorillas. They were self-titled, Demon Days, Plastic Beach. Then there was one that was made on like an iPad.
Is Feel Good incorporated on Demon Days?
Demon Days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Then there was the Now. Then there was Humans. I might be a little bit out of order with this. And then there was Song Machine Volume 1.
Right, that was a couple years ago.
And then Cracker Island. So I think it's 8, if I'm not mistaken.
And then like the Song Machine 1, it was supposed to only be like a few singles, and they just kept making songs.
Yeah, they would like send samples to different people
because they had a lot of videos for that one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But this new one's pretty jamming.
I like it. I like a lot of the songs. I'm always, because it's so eclectic, I'm always, there are going to be some songs on there that I don't like.
That's what almost every band really.
But this one I liked. It's very poppy. It was actually like it's like number 1 on the rock charts, and I'm like, why is this is not a rock album? But I guess because
there is really no rock music in mainstream. Like, not really.
I say this with all respect that should be due to it, because he is one of the best artists in the United States has ever created. Jay-Z is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is basically the Music Hall of Fame nowadays.
I would like to prefer to call it the American Music Hall of Fame, but even then you have foreign acts in there as well. Jethro Tull is in their metal wing. That's fucking weird.
Kidding,
don't shoot me.
Just because they won an award over Metallica. On a year they didn't have an album out.
What was that award? Best metal album.
Right.
But then you look at it to make up for that. Metallica's basically won every fucking metal Grammy after that.
That is very true.
Regardless of the quality of the album.
That is very true.
They didn't win for Saint Anger, did they?
I think they did.
I think they probably did.
Oh,
I think they did.
Like Death Magnetic's okay, but Jesus.
I think they won for Saint Anger.
Yeah, there's a bit of a personal bias against that album because that's the first one without Jason Newsted, and
I'm pretty certain that they won for Garage Inc.
Which is just covers.
The second, it was the second.
Covers and
because the first one was Garage
Days,
Days, and the second one was Garage Days Revisited, and then they did a third Garage Days album.
They've won most of the pretty much any time after that they had an album they won, regardless of who was. I watched a thing on it on YouTube. Somebody did like a breakdown of it. But yeah. And the other thing, I guess it can be more of Jay and I talking because we'll have
a lot of intertwining stuff on this because we have come back from CoastCon of 45. Should have been 46, except for the 1 year they couldn't have it because of COVID. The year that Katrina hit, the year afterward, there was a CoastCon after it. So like a hurricane couldn't stop CoastCon, but only the 19 could stop it. But it was CoastCon 45. It happened at the Mississippi Gulf Coast Coliseum's Convention Center from March 3rd to the 5th, and I had a good time.
I had a good time as well.
Yeah.
It was definitely a smaller affair than the past.
Yes.
Like
smaller, like with people there, not the size of it.
The size of the literally the size was like the areas were smaller.
They cut out a third of the building normally that they had been using over the last 2 or 3 years, and they just didn't use it this year. Which honestly
they didn't need to, right?
No, they didn't need to this time.
It was a good choice. It was honestly, there were moments on Saturday and Sunday that felt more full than they did in years previous, just because they didn't have all that wasted space.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I had a good time. Played a lot of games. Bought stupid shit that I probably didn't need.
That's what you do at a con.
Yeah.
Overpaid for a lot of food.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
I didn't get. I mostly got drinks up from there. I didn't get too many. I think I got a pretzel.
That was the even bigger. I think I got as many drinks as you did too.
How much were the 20 ounces?
Oh, $5.
$5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unless it was water, and then it was only $4. But the cool thing about it was you could then go to the water fountain, and then a liquid would come out of that fountain, and you could fill your water bottle.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, but it was pretty cool. I had to fight an old man for some pieces of art.
Yeah, how was the art auction? Because you were in the middle of that.
Yeah, the art auction was fine. There was this one old man in the front row who seemingly bid on just about everything. And there were 2 very small pieces of art that I had wanted. And I didn't know this, but if there's no bids on any of the art that's up for auction, you can just go, hey, they'll put like a buy it now price basically, and you can go, hey, I'll just buy it outright. But I didn't know that if there's a bid on it, it has to go to auction. Okay. So I put a bid on one thing and was like, I put a bid on something that I saw, and then I turned around and was like, oh, it's by the same person. They're very small pieces of art. They're kind of like these, they're hard to explain, but one of them is like this. I don't know if it's a weird tower or a ship or something with like a red background and a sun in the back, and the other one is like this kind of far away city that in the background with like it's either in like a desert or there's like these red waves, and it's hard to explain, but I really liked it and it spoke to me.
It's science fiction.
Yeah, it's science. It's all science fiction stuff. And it reminded me of another piece that I had gotten several years ago. So I wanted both of those. So I put somebody had already bid on one, so I put a little bid, and then I had to come back and bid over them again. But then this other one over here didn't have anybody on it, and I was like, well, I'll just put a little bit of a bid on it. And then later I was like, you know what, I'll just buy it. And I was like, let me go and buy this. And the guy was like, no, there's a bid on it, so it has to go to auction.
But it's my bid.
Well, shit.
You should have just gone, this is my bid. Let me just buy it.
Well, it technically wasn't my bid because I put the wrong fucking number. That
was the one.
I was 1611 and I put 1161.
Yeah, he skipped a beat, and so now due to technicality he's got a bid for it now.
So I go in there and start and the one that I had already been kind of fighting somebody over, oddly nobody bid on. So I was able to get that one. Although I had to explain, hey, I put the wrong number on here. The other one, I ended up paying more than I was kind of wanting. I reached my limit of like, this is the absolute most I'll pay for this. But this fucking old man in the front is like, you were buying like 15 other things before this. Like,
right.
You don't need this one little piece of art. But I beat him. I didn't have to spend it didn't get out of hand or anything like that. And it went to a good it went to kind of a good cause.
Wait, what?
All the auction stuff was for CASA, which is a program for people involved in the courts with custody and child things. Not custody, but like CPS and things like that.
Right. Okay.
And they're supposed to be like an advocacy group that people volunteer, and they become CASA workers, and they'll come in and like provide support.
Right.
And it's really all depending on how good the person is that the person gets. I've had really good CASA workers, and I've seen really shitty CASA workers in my line of work.
I just wanted to say something real quick about art.
Yeah.
So Larry Elmore You know, the guy who's done like illustrations for Dungeons and Dragons and some other stuff. I don't know how long he's been doing it. But right now, if you go to his store online, it's LarryElmore.com or whatever. He's selling signed prints of his artwork for $30.
Oh wow!
Like a lot of the really well-established
cool.
stuff. So I just wanted to throw that out there since we were talking
That's
about
actually and cool that you said about signed prints, because I would like to talk about the vendor floor. CoastCon's vendor floor for a smaller con has actually been very solid for I would even say decades.
Yeah,
There's a little bit of everything on those floors at almost at all times. I will start out with Damon Bowie. Damon Bowie is an artist out of New Orleans. He doesn't appear personally at the con anymore, but he sends people over along with his prints. He was actually there last year. One of the reasons is he signed a multi-year deal with I think it's Seattle Comic-Con. I think it's called Emerald City Con, and it runs in almost identically the same weekends every year that CoastCon does. So, I cannot fault the man. That is a pretty good contract to go up to Seattle. Yeah. He's one of my favorite artists locally, really, actually, like just in general pop culture, just in general. He did a print of Chainsaw Man, which I bought for Mr. Ethan Skinner.
Yes,
nice.
So it's very nice.
Very nice poster.
I don't think I showed it to you, Jody.
No, you have not.
We gotta figure out a way to get him.
Okay.
Yeah. But yes, that was good there. I would like to.
Most of the art that's hanging up in my apartment is
Damon Bowie.
Is Damon Bowie.
He's fantastic.
He's one of the better ones that. Yeah, he's generally one of the top ones that are there at CoastCon.
Okay.
I would argue, forget ones. He is the top.
Probably
because,
this year, especially. Yeah,
the quality of his work, just everything about it. Absolutely love him. I'd like to shout out Tortured Earth. Tortured Earth have their own RPG system called Tortured Earth, but they ran a jewelry and flag booth there. It's probably the one I spent the most amount of money for. For everybody in the studio right now, and therefore nobody in the passengers, my apologies, passengers, I now have a Green Lantern ring that is on my finger. A buddy of mine, actually my cousin Lionel, I got him the Yellow Lantern ring, which was a different design. They're all very cool kind of things. The flags this year we bought a Green Lantern, a Red Lantern, a Yellow Lantern ring, and I think you got the Blue Lantern.
I got the Blue
ring.
Lantern.
Yeah.
I have it.
And it's not just the symbol, but it's also the words for their epithet that you can read out. It's really cool. Brady has a steamer, which hopefully we'll get to tomorrow and get all the creases out of the flags with.
Yeah, I went and bought a steamer because I also bought a Sandman banner, which is really
nice.
Cool. It's like
It's
like Dream holding the helmet.
Oh, cool.
It looks really, really cool.
They had flags for all of the Avatar: The Last Airbender houses or nations. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I got our friend Michael Hill from Whiskey on the Omnibus.
Yeah.
We need to do that. We have some of their whiskey here right now, but no, it's going to be whiskey and wrestling. I got him the Earth and the Water Nation. I love Caitlin, his fiance to death, but you need to know what your man's favorite nation is, ladies. I'm just gonna say that, and men, you need to know your lady's favorite nation as well. All right, I'm just gonna say that right now. So shout out to them. Thompson Productions LLC, that is for the longest time has been my favorite vendor over there, and they still are a very good vendor. He's got about like 20 yards worth of board games, card games, Gundam models, and dice, and I've spent about like $40 worth of dice. And then the prior to me getting those dice bought, the 40K players bought like somewhere in the neighborhood of like $1,000+ of dice, which is insane. But yeah.
I successfully resisted temptation to get 1,000 Suns Combat Patrol from him.
He had that right there. So
I looked at it several times and finally put it back and was like, I just don't go back into the vendor room on Sunday. Sunday, I was like, just don't do it because you don't need to spend that money.
This is the first year I did not buy a board game from him. However, I did buy one of, and I've read it so far preliminarily, but this is going to be maybe a top 5 all-time favorite supplement for RPGs. Harlem Unbound for the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. It basically allows you to take the Harlem Renaissance and put it with the Cthulhu mythos.
Oh, nice.
It is just the writing and the passion behind this. This is not like at least in the very beginning of this, you can tell that somebody wrote this with a whole lot of heart and soul. And like this, I want to portray this actual piece of our history in this world and see how we can make of it. Just a quick spoiler at the very beginning of it. He firmly addresses, Chris Spivey. I want to make sure I get his name right because I thought it was very powerful, it was very evocative, and it really got me to appreciate this. He brings up the fact he talks about Lovecraft. It's like Lovecraft was a racist.
Yes.
Say it loud, say it proud.
Literally, I opened up and there's literally like a
right
section where it just says Lovecraft was a racist.
Yeah.
Exclamation point.
Right.
Yes. And he approaches it head on, and his last thing about it is, again, say it loud, full throat. Lovecraft was a racist. Now, let's move on and start telling some stories.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's take this material because Lovecraft's mythos is not just him; it's August Derleth and
a lot of
dozens upon hundreds of writers.
A lot of people
that have
over
added to
decades.
that. And there's enough room in there for voices of all types.
Yeah.
If you need to look at the first and unfortunately only season of Lovecraft Country.
Yeah.
Right.
That was
Lovecraft Country was a good written by a white dude, but it's also like, which is surprising because I think it does a good job from my perspective of bringing those voices in.
I think it's possible for
but
someone.
The show was run and written by
Right.
I think it was a black woman.
I think it is possible to have creators of different races. Like if you can put, and I'm not saying it's very easy, but I'm saying it is possible. I think there's a lot of challenges to it, but I think people of other races can write respectfully and portray these things.
It's just easy to do wrong.
Oh, it's exceptionally easy to do wrong. Like we have almost a century worth of,
which is why you shouldn't try to do it unless you're going to really put forth the effort.
Right, absolutely. I want to mention that. I wanted to mention, I cannot remember the seller, but she was one of the nicest ladies I've ever met at a convention. They were selling canvas bags. Everybody knows my love for my canvas bag, which goes on almost a decade now. I carry it around everywhere. I'm looking at them, and then one of them just says, "All roads lead to Amber," with Mount Colvere and the moon behind it. I'm like, this is serendipity. So purchase. There we go. So I had to buy that there. Also bought a sweet Zelda pocket watch from them as well.
Yeah.
And now I'm not going to talk about the last seller. I'm going to talk about is their booth wasn't really a booth. It was just like a screen shade on the back, and on it were a whole bunch of sexy Japanese body pillows.
Jesus.
Now wait a minute. The ones that were out front, they were very tasteful, but it's still depicting like a young person, male and female. Ladies, if you wanted a tuxedo mask, full body pillow, I think something looked like it there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't want to look too far because as I was approaching the booth, I kind of glanced over there. One of the guys said, "Do you want to see the naughty ones? They're underneath the table." These aren't the naughty ones? What? And then from a different seller, I bought a big titty mouse pad, and that's pretty much it there. For the novelty.
Yes.
Just for the novelty of it, I swear.
I'm
waiting for lightning. Hang on. Okay, no, we're good.
There was a lady who they had come she owned a board game store, but it was closing down, so she was trying to get rid of a lot of her stuff. So we got some really good deals on some board games. I got Sniper Elite, the board game, which is like a one versus many hidden movement game. I didn't necessarily need another one of those, but I got it for $10, and it's at least like a $40 game. So I got Sushi Go for $3, which is a good little game. I was thinking about getting for my daughter. There's a really good vendor with a bunch of cool pins that we got.
Oh yeah. Hold on. I got their name right here. My apologies for not having that.
While you're looking that up, they had some really cool pins of state
cryptids.
Pictures of states, and then like inside them will be like a slasher or a monster or something from it. So like New Jersey had Jason, Texas had Leatherface. That's the one that I got. California had Ghostface. What were some other ones? Maine had Pennywise.
Gotcha. It wasn't.
Colorado had Jack from The Shining.
It wasn't a state, but in that same line of pins was the Silver Shamrock novelties. Pin with the shamrock on it. And Irish Me, I had to get that.
3 more days till Halloween.
They had like
they had pop culture pins all over the place.
Yeah.
Open Dead Inside is the name of the company. Open Dead Inside.
They
also had
campaign pins for like Marvel heroes. I got like a Captain America one that was pretty cool.
Your lanyard looked sweet after that. It was cool. You had like the Captain America stuff.
They have any They Live pins?
Yes.
Like
Obey. Yes. They had They Live. They also had The Thing. They had which literally, to be fair, just looked like a mass of like flesh paint and gold trim. Like it was just weird looking. Like you couldn't make it out. They had patches, and they had cryptid patches, and one of them is from Loveland, Ohio.
Oh yeah, those were really, really cool.
Yeah, they're iron-on patches, and I have to figure out what I'm going to iron, because it was Loveland, Ohio. And
oh, you ended up getting that one?
I got both of them.
Ah, okay.
There was 2 left. I bought them both because it's a frog with a wizard stick.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
So it's like, frogs.
Yeah, it was a really cool, it was like, they had really cool, the cryptid ones were like, really, really cool, because it was like an old school looking outline of it, and the colors were really popped very well. And
I had it in my brain to look up what that cryptid was, because again, it's a frog with like a wizard stick doing spells. And I'm like, is there a wizard frog in Ohio? I must speak with him.
We gotta go to Loveland, Ohio now.
I must speak with him. Yes, we're our first field trip, Loveland, Ohio, in search of wizard frog. Or
that place was really cool.
Talk about the one. We only went to one panel this year. The panel lineup this year was not as strong as I would have liked it to have been. To the point where we only went to one.
Yeah, we decided not to find out whatever the fuck Rule 37.
I have an idea what
panel was.
It was 18 plus, and I already think I know what it was about. Anyway, but we did go to one, and it gives me an idea for the show going forward, how we might want to treat our bus fights if we ever do a bus fight again. And the name of the panel was Debate This. And it was all of the name guests. They had the media guest of honor, fan guest of honor, everybody there that was going to be there. And they just basically asked them questions. Let's pose the question that we had, that I was the only person that defended one of them on this. Who wins at bumper cars? The Flash or Loki? I posited this to Ethan and Jody. Give me quick reasons. No, who and quick reasons why.
Did you say bumper cars?
Yeah, bumper cars, The Flash or Loki.
Loki.
That was my gut, yeah.
Yeah, Loki.
Okay, so you both got. If just a quick why.
For me, it would be because he could cause all the cars to malfunction.
Okay.
I would say he would be able to like make himself like disappear and then appear behind and like, haha, got you.
Okay. I was the only person that repped the Flash.
Mm-hmm.
I was the only person. And then when
something we did forget about, the Flash can be kind of stupid sometimes.
The Flash can be stupid
depending
sometimes,
on which one, especially if it's like Wally West.
But see that's also another thing. Yeah. They never specified which Flash, like Jay Garrick, because I mentioned that to you that we were in there.
Right.
Also, okay, one last one. Just one last one. See, did you understand why I think this might be a fun segment for us? Sure. So the Disney princesses, Hunger Games style, who wins?
Mulan.
Mulan was a top
quick
one.
Answer for sure.
Was a top one. It came down. The top 3 came down to.
Dude, I want to see his answer first.
The one from Frozen. I can't remember her name.
Elsa.
Elsa. Yeah, Elsa.
Okay.
Elsa was bandied about a little bit.
Yeah.
But the 3 primary, I think it came down to Mulan, Merida from Brave, and Pocahontas.
Pocahontas for sure.
It's Pocahontas.
Yeah, I think Pocahontas is the dark horse in that. They also did Disney villain Hunger Games style. Who wins on that?
Okay.
They ended up with Maleficent. Now, I think the answer is one of 2. Mm-hmm. One they mentioned and one they didn't mention. So, to me, it's Hades. Of all of those, like Maleficent can be killed, like she gets killed. Hades doesn't get killed, he's a god.
Right.
They also mentioned Madame Nim, which I just for the shout out version, I appreciated them mentioning that.
Right. That's also good.
The one that I will give it to Jay first mentioned this, but it's not one that you think about, and it's Chernobog from Fantasia because he's fucking Satan.
Yeah, he's the devil.
Yeah,
he's the devil.
He's Satan. They just couldn't call him Satan because they would get in trouble.
Is that the segment Night on
Bald Mountain?
Yeah.
But they didn't mention that one because that's a deep cut. I think.
Yeah, that's super deep.
When you mentioned like supervillain Hunger Games, like my immediate thought was Hades.
Yeah.
So let me light Jay's world up real quick. In Ohio folklore, the Loveland frog also known as the Loveland Frogman or the Loveland Lizard. Nah, he's not a lizard, he's a frog. Is a legendary humanoid frog described as standing 4 feet tall and allegedly spotted in Loveland, Ohio in 1972. The legend gained renewed attention when a Loveland police officer reported to a colleague they had seen an animal consistent with descriptions of the frogman in 2016.
Well, gentlemen, we need to get plane tickets to fucking Loveland, Ohio.
Yeah.
Next episode. We're scrapping next episode. Sorry, Ethan. We're going straight to Loveland, Ohio.
One side note. University of Cincinnati folklore professor Edgar Slotkin compared the Loveland frog to Paul Bunyan, saying that stories about it have been passed down for several decades and that sightings and reports seem to come in predictable cycles.
There you go.
Paul Bunyan, I have to I don't know where he's pulling that from because Paul Bunyan was kind of a marketing creation.
I want to talk about for me what was the main event of the whole thing. So Saturday night, I ran Blood on the Clock Tower. I ran the unofficial game. There was an official game of it, and I feel kind of bad for this kid, except for how his approach to getting people to try to play it. We were setting up a game of Ankh. Initially, it was going to be 2-player, but then our buddy Eddie showed up, and we had a 3-player game of that, which I think was pretty cool. Even though John completely made me want to pull my fucking hair out, but that's a whole other fucking thing in and of itself. Yes. When Brady's got to, dude, calm the fuck down. It's you're right. It's just So the kids, kid was setting up Blood on the Clock Tower, and so he came over to the table and he goes, "Oh, hey guys, what you playing?" Like, oh, it's Ankh. It's the gods of Egypt. Would you like to play? No, but I'm running Blood on the Clock Tower, and it's this very fun social deduction game. Oh, okay, that's cool. It's like they're going to be running at 6. Okay, cool. He would then go over to the next table and pretty much do the exact same thing. It's like, hey, guys, what you playing? And it was like, oh, no, I can't do that. But hey, I got Blood on the Clock Tower over there.
He did that he did that just about all 3 days. Well,
the 2
Friday and Saturday of the con, because he came over. I was setting up. Was it Dice Town? I was setting up.
Yeah,
and he came over and just started looking at it, and I was like, "Hey, do you want to play?"
Yeah. No, I remember that. Yeah, but that was that morning. That was Saturday afternoon.
I think I'm good, and I was like,
"Oh, okay."
Yeah,
but anyway, I'm running Blood on the Clock Tower. Yeah,
but we had this other guy just come over. Hey, you guys look cool. Can I play with y'all? Sure.
Yeah, that's the attitude you want to have at gaming cons.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, what are you playing? I don't care. Sit down to it. Yeah. So he kept doing that, and then 6 o'clock rolled around, and then nobody
showed up for his game,
and he just had it set up for another hour. And he's probably just a young adult, just maybe 21, 22.
Right.
My age, gotcha.
Right, there you go. And I did feel bad for him, but it's like, if you're gonna do that, you can't be obnoxious about it.
Yeah.
And he kind of was obnoxious, but I hope that he looks at it and goes, okay, I've got to approach this in a different way in the future.
Yeah, the better way would have been to, first off, not wait within a small couple of hours or whatever, and just go up to every table and be like, hey guys, my name is blah, blah, blah. I know you guys are doing this, but later on at 6, I'll be doing Blood on the Clock Tower if you guys want to play. And if you want me to extend it to 7, I can.
Or if you're also going to do that, be open to sitting down and playing the game. Right. Open yourself some time to be able to do that.
I could, if it was me, I'd be like, hey guys, I might want to join you for a minute, but I've got to set up this game I'm running at 6 o'clock if you guys want to play it. But let me go around and talk to a couple of other people, and then I'll come back in 10 minutes.
Yeah, because he had a sign up. They have a thing called Gaming Command, which is where all the sign up sheets for all the games were.
Yeah.
They had a sign up for Aegon. No one signed up for it. For Sunday.
Shit.
It's like
one person had signed up for it. Unfortunately, they were running at the same time that the art auction was starting.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like,
that had done it right there. Yeah.
So I was like, I couldn't stop because I needed to win those 2 pieces of art.
Yeah, I would have broken out Giannis again if we could have gotten more people. But yeah. But so say around 10 o'clock, that's when I get my stuff out of the car. And the Baton Rouge crew, the same crew that comes to NarbyCon,
right?
They were here. didn't know they were coming. It's like,
Like
oh,
the
you
same
guys are
group
here.
of
It's
people
like,
that you ran blood over there for.
The one I've run blood for, and years ago ran Ultimate Werewolf.
Oh,
for.
okay.
And it's like you got blood on the clock tower. Yeah, I got blood on the clock tower.
Let's
it's like,
do it.
We'll play. Yeah, it's like that was Friday. That was Friday afternoon.
Right.
We get to Saturday night. They're playing something. I forgot what it was, and I'm just like, I've got the box. It's like, it's like we'll stop this right now, and we're getting like just a shout out to that entire Baton Rouge crew, gentlemen and lady. Actually, one of their wives came with them this year.
Right.
If wherever you guys are right now, probably Baton Rouge. Hope you all are doing well. Thank you for coming to the con. Hope you got home safe. So that was 8 of them, and then we got 6 randos, and I'm throwing Greg in as a rando, because Greg was being random. Greg hasn't had a drop of alcohol all year. It's making him weirder. That's what I'm going to say about that. Greg, I love you to death, but holy hell. 14 people playing.
Hell yeah.
3 of the guys said, hey, like, I bought Blood on the Clock Tower after you ran it at NarbyCon. It's like, can I just watch it? It's like, you're not only just going to watch me run this, I'm going to give you my thought process on how this fucking works.
Oh, nice.
And it's like, okay, so I've got 14 people. Okay, so
I'd wondered what because I was playing Seven Wonders Duel with John while y'all were doing that.
Yeah.
But I was wondering, I kind of figured you were doing that, but I was wondering exactly what you were doing because I'd seen you like they'd grouped around and you were like explaining the little.
It's one of the highest that game in both ways was one of the highest compliments I've had paid for me in a long time in gaming.
Yeah.
The fact that the people enjoyed playing the game and that people who have played the game with me before, hey, can I sit under the learning tree? And I'm the learning tree. Holy shit!
Yeah, it's crazy that game you ran at NarbyCon was supposed to be a disaster.
Yeah, it was.
What?
Yeah.
There was some asshole who had played Ball on the Clock Tower like way too many fucking times, and he was.
No. Hold on.
He was complaining the whole fucking time.
Okay, we're gonna be a little bit more negative later, but I'll get this one out.
Okay.
So, NarbyCon, I ran a 20-man game. And it was my thing to run and everything. But we had a gentleman there. I will not name his name, and partly because I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't remember his name because fuck that guy.
He said, if you got too many people, we can break it up in 2 games, and I can run one of the other games. It's like, no, I want to try this. This was as much a personal challenge for me as anything else.
Right, of course.
And I missed some rules. I did miss some rules, but we were able to fix that out in time. But from what I heard afterwards, it was nonstop complaining about me and about how I shouldn't be running this if I haven't run this before. I'm like, if I don't run 20 now, first of all, I've run Blood on the Clock Tower numerous times before.
Back to back.
Back to back.
Yeah.
Several, across multiple nights. Dude, I've done I've run the thing before. I had never run a 20-man game.
No, but
before.
I will say this on a side note. Halloween, after the karaoke stopped over here, Jay ran like a 15 or 16 people game.
I remember that.
With like 6 or 8 of them were drunk out of their minds.
Oh, absolutely.
And he was able to run that game without like any of them really fucking up.
I remember
the complaints that I got. It's like he's letting people group up together and talk too long. He's letting people just say whatever they want to say. I heard a whole bunch of basically catty fucking shit afterwards.
Yeah, he was next to me, and it was just going on and on and on and on.
I will say this.
That's one of the reasons I didn't enjoy that game because I had that motherfucker in my ear the entire time, and I was like, God damn, just shut the... If you don't want to do this, just go... Just don't play.
So,
don't play.
So there was... For me, there was a great vindication in that someone bought that game off of that 20-man game we run. And then that same person who bought that game later was like, hey, can I learn how you run this from you? Greatest compliment I've had paid
and it
in a
was
while.
not they had played this game before and this was the game that tipped. They hadn't played the game before. They played that particular game that was supposed to be a fucking disaster. And they still went and bought the game and then wanted to learn from you. So that, like...
I can appreciate in a 20-man anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially... And who wins, who loses can dictate that sometimes. I'm of the opinion that if you really care about who wins or loses Blood on the Clock Tower,
you got it wrong.
You're missing sight of it's the experience and not necessarily the ending of it.
I mean, there was one time, I think this was whenever the last hurricane hit pretty bad. It was like Brady, you, and Eddie came up with Abyss. I played one game of it, and immediately, like 2 weeks later, I bought it for myself.
Yeah.
Oh, I was finally able to get...
Because that man, I'm pointing to Brady, everybody who's not here. That man right there knows good games.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he runs good games.
I was finally able to get the Leviathan expansion for Abyss. It looks pretty cool. I want to play it sometime soon.
Yeah. But yeah, from having that, like, that static from that game, and then finding out that the people who were really engaging in that game, as opposed to like being mad that they weren't running it themselves.
That's what it came down to. Is the guy wanted to run.
That's
run
like
a game
also
himself.
law of averages though. Out of 20 plus people,
Yeah, so I say 20 people. You're not gonna
really have
accommodate everybody. Like there was one girl who played in one of the Halloween sessions. She played again, but this time she got a role that was much less impactful, and I could tell that it really wasn't doing well for her.
Right.
And in fact, so much so that once she kind of bowed out, but she's a traveler, which allows her to just kind of leave.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it was, again, I knew that there was static for that, and I do feel sorry for her in that regard, but bro, if you're going to undermine me because you'd rather be doing this yourself, you could have just gone and pulled
petty
10 people.
Is what that is. That's just petty.
Just saying. Like, I wish him all the best in the world. If the people he runs it for like it the way he runs it, by all means. I am thoroughly of the opinion that sometimes it takes a different brand of glove to fit the hand. Yeah. It just does.
That's
it's like
true.
the way it's cut. And if you're out there having fun with your friends, cool too. People were having fun that night.
Yeah.
Right.
Why do you got to drag it down?
Right.
Yeah.
That's just me on that one.
But we got a lot of games played, or at least I did during CoastCon.
That's cool.
You had Seven Wonders. Well, you weren't part of the Jamaica team.
No, I was playing. What was I playing during? I was playing something else.
You're playing something with I think Greg and Jason and
because we played Dice Town Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Played Smartphone Inc. Friday.
Yeah, that you guys were playing Smartphone while I was running Jamaica.
Were we?
Yes.
I didn't think it was that late.
Yeah.
Smartphone Inc. is great.
Yeah.
We played a lot of things. Of course, if it's anything that Greg's at, we got to either play Lords of Waterdeep or Lords of Vegas.
Yeah.
So we played that.
I think Sims won that one, right?
I believe so. Yeah. I think I was second or third.
Another game I bought after I played it, Lords of Vegas.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good game.
Well, it was Lords of Waterdeep.
We did Lords of Waterdeep.
Lords of Vegas we didn't play.
And then there was a bunch of shout out to Steve Huckabee and I want to say Gulf Coast Gaming Events. They have their gaming library that they bring to cons throughout the year. They also have their free game giveaway. A bunch of us got a bunch of free games from playing.
Oh yeah,
them,
they got a shitload of games. That's mostly what some of the people there, some of our friend group, focused on. There was nothing there that I really wanted, and I'm running out of space. I
feel that
right now. So I wasn't going to go. I didn't even like put my name into where I could check games out.
There weren't any uninteresting games there. But there was nothing that spoke to me.
There was nothing. There was nothing where I was like, I want this game
that you didn't already have.
It's important.
Right. Our friend Ricky won it, but it's a game called Spill.
I want to. That's one that I want to play. I just didn't necessarily need to own myself.
So it's about an oil spill, but the thing is, the central piece of it that quote unquote makes the game work is that the entire board or most of the board is an oil derrick, and the things that you spill are dropped into the derrick and spill out from there.
Yeah, you drop dice through the top and it randomly spills out, so you have these kind of outbreaks of the spill.
Yeah, I think
that's cool.
I think I like it, and for randomizing it, to me, it's like it's a production that was thought of before the actual game was, in my opinion. That's the way it looked to me. I could be wrong. We now have a copy of it in our friend group, so now we'd be able to.
I would be interested in playing it, but it was not one that I needed to own. Some of the other games that I would have been interested in, I already own. But they got there was some cool stuff there, and all you had to do was play it to win it. Yep. But that's the Sunday. That's mostly what they all did was break out these games and mostly played them to get them.
Yeah. But again, if it was games that they found interesting, that was good. Yeah. It's one of the reasons why I didn't check out anything, because again, there's stuff that looked cool, but my collection already has here's a heavy Euro game. Well, I already have Archipelago and a bunch of other heavy Euro games.
Right. Yeah, you have to have your cutoffs.
Well, I mean, if you're already satisfied, something's got to not just meet that criteria. It's got to then almost demolish it for me. If it doesn't, then why am I getting?
Yeah. If I have Dominion, I don't need 20 other deck building games.
Exactly. No, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I will usually the way I'll figure it out is okay, does this game is it a deck? Are these two deck building games? But does this one offer something different than this other one?
The difference, like a Dune versus
Dune Imperium.
Dune is like, oh my god,
it's different from I have a shitload of like Marvel Legendary,
right.
So that's a type of deck building game.
Yeah.
But Dune Imperium is a different thing.
That game stands alone.
But like, to be honest, I'm gonna be I'll be honest, like, if I think mind management does something different, when it comes to like the hidden movement game.
100%.
But if I play Sniper Elite, which I do want to get played pretty soon, if it feels better, I'm probably going to look to give away Spectre Ops. Because I think that they are similar enough.
Right.
Like actually really similar enough, but they do a little bit different things, and they have a different flavor.
Okay.
That's usually what I look for with keeping games, or do I need another game of this type?
Right.
So I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah, I don't.
Just quick shout out to the CoastCon committee and the crew and the volunteers that help put that thing on every year. Again, it was another fun year. I was grateful for it, and can't wait to see you again next year.
Yeah. I hope that it. I don't know. There was kind of a pall of not feeling. I hope that it's not waning, kind of like it felt, but the thing's been around for fucking ever, so probably not.
46 years, 40 and 45 main conventions with a CoastCon Junior that they do late year every year, which is basically just a one day,
like a Saturday kind of con kind of thing.
They need to do something with their pricing, because it's a little bit ridiculous. Because it was like $50 for just Saturday, or you get $55 for all weekend.
I think that was just to drive the weekend. That's my opinion on that one. Like, because if they
for what they're offering though, that's a steep price for a 1 day pass.
Yeah.
In my opinion, but I still had fun. I enjoyed myself. I wasn't mad that I went. So
Yeah. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you to all the passengers that have been listening to all of our what we've been doing and sticking with us. Jody, where can they find us?
You can contact us at travelersontheomnibus@gmail.com. Also,
how many L's?
Like 2?
No, one.
One? Okay,
one L.
Cool. 1 L. There's 1 L.
1 L.
18 L's.
Shit.
A
lot of those L's are silent.
If you like listening to us on multiple platforms, we're on Spotify, Anchor, Google Play, and Apple Music. We're on Saga. Yes. Also, if you want to message us directly or take part in any polls, you can also do that on Spotify as well.
No feedback this week, but again, thank you guys for listening, and we hope that you enjoy our main topic, which is coming at you right now.
It would serve us no justice if we do not have at least one top 5 chalkboard for season 2.
That's because you're always the host of them.
Yes.
Blah blah blah.
So for the first chalkboard of season 2, the top 5 things that should have just stopped.
Yes. Top 5 media
Top
that
5
should have
media.
just stopped. Let's we're done. We've said all we can say. We've done all we can done with this. You can stop now, please, for the love of God.
Yes. As always, we typically we like interchange between a silver nuclear bullet or a golden parachute. Since the last chalkboard, Jody was given a parachute. So now he shall give a parachute to one of us 3 to prevent something from being on the top 5.
Okay. All right, there you go. So he will provide that. And again, it will not be a part of the top 5. It will not be stricken from the records of reality, because thanks to reading Amber, we now know how to fold shadows, so we can remove these things. It's gonna be great. But
we don't know anything about roads, though.
We have nothing about roads. Yep. Let's mention the road very briefly, and then never talk about it, and how that the pattern can shatter it. But anyway.
Let's kick it off with you, Jay.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, because I'm standing up. Is that what that reason?
Possibly.
All right.
Maybe.
All right. So, my number 5, top 5 media that should stop. World of Warcraft. This was a fantastic story-forward MMO with solid. I was about to say statistics. Solid gameplay. I think it was a shining jewel of it. we're now closing in on 20 years. And I just really would like just another standalone RPG, not a Warcraft 3 Reforged, which was just barely reforged. I would like something that kind of pushes the story forward, not in a I have to have 500 of my closest friends and neighbors alongside with me. I would just like something singularly with me. And I think as long as we have World of Warcraft, we will never have that again in the regular Warcraft era. My number 4 is the Grammys. I considered just award shows in general, but I still have a feeling for the Oscars and the Emmys. But the Grammys so consistently do it wrong. And for me personally, when The Weeknd after Hours was released and is, in my opinion, one of the greatest albums of the last 20 years, was not even considered for album, record, song, any of the top. It's like, no, this is obviously political. I like my political machinations to be subtle and not very well seen. The Grammys is like, no, fuck it. If you're not playing our show, we're not going to honor you with awards. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I think the Grammys are ridiculous. My number 3, superhero movies. This is not Marvel or DC. This is Marvel and DC. And fuck it, let's throw in Image as well, even though they haven't done a movie in forever. I am so sick and tired of seeing a marquee that is like Ant-Man, Quantumania, The Batman, and like 5 other superhero movies. I solely believe that our impetus for watching Cocaine Bear started out just a little bit as, at least it's not a fucking Marvel.
That's
DC
my
movie.
thought.
Yeah.
That was my thought.
And then the notion of it kind of snowballed. No pun intended for cocaine, but I thought it was very. I think we went to see Cocaine Bear because it wasn't a superhero movie.
Yes,
and and for the most part, I think we all
agree with that.
Yeah, Brady, I don't think you have seen it yet, have you?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I when it does come out on streaming, I highly recommend it. Call Eddie over, have him watch it with you. It's a special edition. It's the best thing ever. My number 2. Madden NFL football. It has gotten to the point. It used to be that I would buy it like about once every 3 years, and now I've just completely stopped because they have prioritized monetization over innovation. These games have the same bugs from 10 years ago in them. They are updated graphics, but the same graphic models. People don't look like, everybody will look so much like they will, but no, they don't. It's the same things. There's crashes in these games that are just horrible. It is just basically a stick for you to buy into the Madden Ultimate Team. I would, as an honorable mention along this, I would also throw in FIFA as well because of FIFA Ultimate Team. I think it's just monetization after selling the game itself. I think it's gone a bit too far.
Oh yeah.
My number 1. In 1956. 2 communist revolutionaries began a revolt that would see the fall of the Cuban government and the establishment of arguably the most symbolically significant communist government in the Western Hemisphere. One of these men was Che Guevara, who would travel the world later, fostering revolutions around the world until his capture and execution in Bolivia in 1967. Che would later be going to be lionized, and finally his greatest symbol is perhaps being the face on a shirt that thousands upon thousands of frat boys wear, mostly ironically.
Yeah.
The other man, Fidel Castro, would continue as Cuba's military dictator for decades after, in many ways embracing personally the advantages and decadences. Yep, that's how long this is going to be, folks. Of the West, while hypocritically watching as many parts of his nation suffered without. The fire of that revolution died out in his heart, and all that was left was an aging monolith of flesh, living off the memory of days gone by. In 2007, Castro had his anus replaced by a plastic gasket in what, again symbolically, represents having lived too long, kept around for reasons of sentiment, utility, and just not knowing how to go on without the thought of being around. The Simpsons are Fidel Castro with a plastic butthole. My number 1 is The Simpsons.
Fair enough.
So,
I saw you writing a whole bunch earlier, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
I needed to encapsulate how far, in my opinion, not fallen, but faded. And to me, that's worse because if you fall, you can at least languish at oh, it's gone. It's not gone. We're getting 2 more seasons. We're going to hit season 35.
Yeah.
At some point, the principal cast is going to be dead. And now we have to consider, with the fact that AI exists, that their AI voices, will, instead of human beings, will be voicing these characters in perpetuity because why stop it now?
The Simpsons exists to spite, even despite itself. It's just there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. It's a good list.
Solid list.
Very good list.
That is a good list.
Possibly a humorous list with the number 1 entry.
Possibly.
What
We will decide. We will decide later if it was actually funny.
Comedy is subjective, so I can.
We will
appreciate
decide. We will decide
Funnier
later
than any joke The Simpsons has had in a long time. I guarantee
I
you that.
actually saw a video on YouTube of list of shows that are getting better, and The Simpsons was like number 1, and I was like,
okay.
I don't know if I can trust this fucking list.
Yeah.
The Simpsons number 2, I can't remember what it was, but it was also like, what the fuck are you talking about? But
The Simpsons used to be something I would watch like multiple days on end because of my father.
Yeah, I grew up fucking watching The Simpsons.
I grew up watching The Simpsons. Not grew up, but I was a teenager when it started.
Mm-hmm.
I was only 9 years old, and I'm not going to take it down the other run with that, but I was 9 when the Simpsons. Yeah, when the Simpsons started. Yeah, and my thoughts. I think my thoughts kind of are embodied in. There's a YouTuber called Lemon who talks about Homer's enemy is there will never ever be a episode of Simpsons like Homer's enemy. I highly recommend that YouTube video. It is fantastic, and for a while it kind of fomented what we've been. I've been thinking this since the 2000s, not the 10s,
right?
The aughts.
Oh yeah, this has been bandied about since
when they did the movie. That should have been. They should have sailed off in the West with Frodo and the elves.
Because once it hit like season 8, 9, and 10, it started going downhill.
Usually people I would
argue season 8 is the best season ever for The Simpsons.
Okay.
Most people give it to like 3 through 10 or like the golden years.
Yeah.
But maybe two you'll get some people say.
Yeah, we may be indicating one that might end up on our list, so let's go on to another person's top 5.
I feel like I like the going second trend, so I will go second.
Okay.
Sloppy seconds.
At least it's not a plastic butthole.
I'm just trying to put as much innuendo as I can with you.
So, my number 5 is going to be Game of Thrones. Now, when it came to the Game of Thrones TV show on HBO Max, people were loving like the first 2 seasons, and then towards the middle, they're like about it, and then like the dead middle, everyone was always complaining about it, saying it was absolutely horrible. And then it started picking back up towards the end of it, and then
keep going. I'm just having a spasm.
My face is also having the same sort of spasms. Go ahead, continue.
I'm just tired of people complaining about it whenever it was going, and then I'm hearing things about House of Dragons, it being good, but I really wanted Game of Thrones to stop. So that's my number 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Number 4 is going to be the Monopoly board game.
Fair enough.
We had one. It was decent, and then we had all these like different skins of Monopoly. We have D'Iberville-opoly. We have Ocean Springs-opoly.
There's one for every city in the United States.
There's too many Monopolies. I just want them all to stop.
M-State-opoly. They can't even like respect Mississippi State enough to like write its name on it. I'm just gonna say that.
So, number 3 is going to be Call of Duty. Now, Call of Duty, I enjoyed playing when I was growing up, and then Black Ops.
So 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, 5 minutes ago. 10 minutes ago, actually.
Yeah, I will shut up now. My apologies.
And then Black Ops came out. I loved that. I loved the online multiplayer of it. I loved zombies with my brothers. And then Black Ops 2 came out, and then Black Ops 3, and then 4, and then Advanced Wars, and then
I like how you're skipping the other bad Call of Duty games.
but
Ghosts.
They're all becoming the exact same game, pretty much. So I just want them to stop. That also needs to stop.
Yeah. Okay.
Number 2 is going to be the mainline Star Wars movies. They should have just stopped after the prequel trilogy. Like, the prequel trilogy came out, it gave a beginning, and it gave an end to the original cast. That was all I needed. I didn't need the new trilogy. I didn't need Rey. I didn't need Kylo Ren. I didn't need Palpatine coming back from the dead. No, I didn't want any of that. I like the Mandalorian. I consider it away from everything. I just want no. I don't agree with it.
Okay.
My number one of my all-time favorite games that my brother introduced to me was Kingdom Hearts 2.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it so much. I beat Kingdom Hearts 2. I went back and played Kingdom Hearts 1. And then I realized that they had Game Boy Advance games for it, like Chain of Memories and then Rechain of Memories. And then
DS games and mobile
DS
games.
1.5 remix, 2.5 remix, 2.5 deluxe remix, 3. I'm certain there's going to be a 3.5 at some point.
Oh, yeah.
And now they're coming out with a 4th game.
Yep.
I don't need all this convoluted storyline where not even myself or probably Jay will shoot with all the nuclear bullets.
Don't worry, though. That 4th game probably won't come out till like 2 more console generations.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, and you'll probably get like 8 games in between it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no.
You'll be running it on the chicken.
Yeah.
That's not a computer. That's what we'll be using for computers in the post-apocalypse.
Yes.
One could say on your list, Ethan, that Star Wars could have stopped after the 3rd original movie back in 1983.
Possibly, yes.
But we're not going to relitigate that.
No. We'll let you have the...
I seem to recall a wonderful
fight,
fight that was on this bus fight. Wait a minute. Hold on. Okay, there we go.
We'll let you have the fight for Endor, whatever the fuck the name of the 2 Ewok movies were that came out after Return of the Jedi. Battle for Endor.
It was Ewok This Way with Aerosmith. And
one of them, I didn't realize that there were 2 of them, but one of them I watched the fuck out of. The
one
one
of them had Wilford Brimley.
Wilford Brimley, right? That one. Yeah, and this weird chick who turned into a raven who I had feelings about. Yeah. And this really annoying, cute little girl.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then the Ewok cartoon.
But yeah, that's my list.
There you go.
Nice.
It's a solid list.
Brady, let's go with you.
So to be honest, this started out as kind of a hard list for me to come up with. I had to really sit down and actually start thinking. But once I started thinking, like, things came in like kind of droves. I have quite a few that I had to bump off. And some of these I feel very passionate about, and some of these I don't, because that's kind of, when you get tired of things, you just kind of start feeling ambivalent, and that's where that kind of fades out. So, and some of these, I think I've taken an interesting look at these. My number one is basically like literally the first thing that came to my mind with this, so I felt like that had to be number one.
For a second, I thought you were leading off with your number
No,
one.
no, no.
Oh, this is a
major game changer.
This is a bold way of presenting.
Number 5, and I put this one on here because while it's been a very long time since I cared about this show, it faded for me very hard, and then it just kept fucking going, and that is the Walking Dead show. The pilot episode of The Walking Dead is one of the best pilots I have ever watched in my entire life. It is a phenomenal work of art. The first season, even though it was very short, was very good. All of the episodes were excellent. And then the second season happened, and there were 2 good episodes. Pretty much dead already, and whatever the finale's name was. I can't remember, but I remember enjoying that. And then the third season happened, and there was literally 1 good episode out. Clear is a phenomenal episode. And I was like, fuck this. I'm getting diminishing returns every single time. It goes from all the episodes are good to a couple of episodes are good, and there's some good parts in between. And then the third season, there's literally only 1 episode that I think is good. I'm not going to keep watching this. But people kept watching it, and it just kept going, and it kept going. I don't even know how many seasons it was before they decided they were going to end it. And then they added 2 spin-off shows that, for everything that I see about them, they're dog shit. But they're keeping going. And they're going to do another spin-off with Norman Reedus' character. And that's going to keep fucking going. The problem with Walking Dead is that one of the things that are really frustrating about Walking Dead is it kept going, and it is the thing that gave us this, is one of the things that started this glut of zombie stuff. And this is why zombies went from a very interesting thing to, oh my fucking God, don't give me zombies again. I can't stand it. be it board games, video games, movies, TV shows. Like, this is kind of what kicked that off and started that. So I think for that reason it deserves to be on this list. The fourth one. So this series of games was very for a little while, for a very short, brief time, was very. This is an interesting one. I looked at this in a different way. This is a thing that actually did stop, but I felt like if it would have slowed down, it could have kept going. And so when I'm going with things that should have stopped, it should have, slowed down a little bit so that it wasn't such a glut. And these are the Guitar Hero / Rock Band video games. When these first came out, these were so fun. These were phenomenal. The first one was great, and then when you could play multiple instruments, like, this was great. I remember getting Guitar Hero 5 with all the stuff for and my friends getting together.
The drum set.
Yeah, the drum set and everything, and us sitting there and playing, and it's so fun. But then Rock Band just kept, it seemed like every few months there was a Rock Band game, whether it was one that you cared about, whether it was a mainline game, or if it was Rock Band fucking Aerosmith or Van Halen or Metallica.
Or Beatles, yeah.
Or Beatles. That was Rock Band. And then Rock Band comes out. So all of this, even though it's kind of the same game, they're doing the same thing, but they just keep coming out with games. And they flood the market so much that people got fatigued. I can't buy a plastic guitar every single time I need to get a new game. Every time one of these games come out, and it just became to where you could not keep up with it.
They even made like DJ Hero.
DJ Hero, I argue,
that was pretty good. Actually,
I argue is actually an interesting change of pace. It's not the same game over and over again with just different songs, but it got lost because by that point everybody was so tired of it. So I believe if they would have slowed down and maybe stopped for a little while and not flooded the market with these plastic peripherals, and made people feel like they had to go out and buy all this bullshit, these could still be going on, because these are fun games. And like these, I'm not a big rhythm game person, but this is like my favorite rhythm game.
Pretty good.
I had a ceiling on mine. I couldn't play higher than like medium, but like they were still fun. And it was really fun when you could get your friends together and all play this one song together and feel like you're rocking out. Like, it was cool. Like, it wasn't exactly the same as, playing in a band, but it was a fun experience as a party game. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so that's why Guitar Hero / Rock Band's on there. My number 3 is not necessarily a media, but it is a person who creates media. This little comic book called The Dark Knight Returns comes out, and it revolutionizes comics. It and the Watchmen kind of just overhaul the comics industry, starting at and that little comic was created by one Frank Miller, but he kept going, and he's made some good stuff. Then The Dark Knight Strikes Again comes out, and you're like, ooh, this is not as good, and ooh, this is a wee bit fashy. It seems like Frank Miller is a big fan of kind of being a fascist. Then the 300 comes out, and that's a little bit fashy too, And then Sin Sea comes out, and Sin Sea is something that I really enjoy. I enjoy that entire series. But there is some kind of iffy stuff in that. And then then Frank Miller decides that he wants to make a movie, a comic book about Batman going to the Middle East and killing terrorists. But DC says, no, you can't make that. So he says, fuck it, and makes a book called Holy Terror, which is one of the most racist pieces of shit comic books ever created. And Frank Miller is still making comic books. And the more he makes comic books and the more he opens his mouth, the more I realize that there are major flaws in his comic books. He has this thing where if he doesn't really like women very much. Most of the time, the women in his comic books are either a whore, or they get horribly beaten or mutilated in some way, or they get killed. That's usually the one of three categories that you get to fall in if you're a woman in a Frank Miller comic. Now, I really like some of his older stuff. I really, really like. It's still a little bit, he kind of wants Batman to be a bit of a fascist, and that's a problem. But nowadays, like his shit's just unreadable. He recently came out with a Superman Year One, I think. Yeah, because he did Batman Year One, and I have no faith in that book because one, Frank Miller hasn't made a good comic book in a very long time, and two, he also hates Superman. So like, I don't believe that he would ever write a good Superman comic.
It was Year One.
Yeah. So yeah, Frank Miller, he should kind of stop and go away because he's not good anymore, and he's kind of gotten brain rot, and he's gotten worse in his old age. So that's number 3. Number 2. Now, I disagree with you a little bit, Ethan, about Game of Thrones. I think Game of Thrones, the problem with it is that it ended too quickly. It tried to wrap up things too quickly. I have no problem with what actually happened in Game of Thrones. In the end, I feel like it needed more development for it to actually make sense. It's because they put an arbitrary cap on how many episodes they were going to create, and so they had to rush things that should have had more time. Like, I don't mind Danny going crazy. It just needed to actually for it to make sense. It needed to happen over a longer period of time.
It needed to like ferment.
It needed like 2 or 3 more seasons.
In
to
the
be
pace
honest.
they had already set for the show up until the point when you build up the whole show to you're gonna have this fight with the undead, and it happens in like an episode and a half over the course of 7 seasons.
Yeah, that could have almost been most of the vast majority of a season. Mm-hmm. But something I do think should just quit is the Song of Ice and Fire, the written series. So the problem with this is, first of all, George R.R. Martin will probably die before he finishes this series. I have no faith that I have no faith that even the next book will come out before he kicks the bucket. He's too busy, doing all these conventions and writing for fucking Elden Ring
and blogging about fantasy football
and blogging about the New York Giants
and eating all the lobster he can get his hands on.
I was going to let you say that joke.
Yes, thank you.
The problem is he wrote 3 books, and they got and people really liked them. And then he went to write the 4th book, and he started listening to what all his little fans were saying, because it came out, hey, I'm going to set this 4th book about 5-10 years in the future. I want to do a time skip. And people were like, no, you cannot do a time skip. We want to know what the hell happens. So he finally goes, okay, fuck it. I'll write everything. So he starts writing, and then he's like, fuck, this is like 2,000 pages. I can't put this out in one book. I have to separate this up. So what does he do? He separates it up, but he separates it up not chronologically, but by character. So A Feast for Crows comes out, and it's all the characters that you kind of don't care about. You want to find out what happens with Cersei, and not what happens with Jon Snow or Tyrion or Daenerys or any of these people. And this is right after Jon Snow becomes Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. Dany becomes ruler of Meereen, and Tyrion kills Tywin and leaves Westeros. You don't get to find out any of that until the next book. What happens with them? You only get.
And when he means the next book, I mean between books 4 just it has none of that. You have to pick it up in 5.
Yeah,
so the stuff that ended 3 picks up in 5.
There was 5.
I wanted to clarify.
There was 5-6 years between 3 and 4, and then there was about 8 to 10 years between 4 and 10. 4 and 5. 5 didn't come. Dance with Dragons didn't come out until after the first season of Game of Thrones. We're still waiting on Winds of Winter.
That book series started in the 90s, right?
Yeah,
94 or
94.
5.
Yeah.
Also, this was supposed to be a trilogy, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger. The problem is, I believe that Martin is so racked with indecision because he is so worried about fan reception, especially now because of how all the negative fan reception with Game of Thrones, with the show. So he just needs to quit. Like, fuck it, like whatever. You don't want to finish these books. He keeps putting out previews. I think that there's a lot of preview chapters out, but like shit or get off the pot. Like he needs to just go on ahead and just say I'm not doing it, whatever. He'll be crucified, but like, he'll be okay. So that leaves number one. Number one, and like I said, this is the literal first thing that I thought about when this is what popped up. So I think that the first Matrix is a near perfect movie and one of the top probably 2-3 action movies of all time. I believe that it revolutionized cinema in a lot of ways. And I think that it should have stopped with one movie. Because the Wachowski sisters had an excellent idea, and they had that one idea, and they really didn't have a plan for after that. It is very obvious that this was something where Warner Brothers was like, oh my God, I think it was Warner Brothers, right? Yeah.
Village Roadshow was the initial production company.
This movie made a shitload of money and is very, very popular. Here's all the money in the world. Do more. And they really didn't have a good plan with that. And it shows because the second and third movie are absolute messes. And if you're familiar with the Wachowskis, like they swing for the fences, but oftentimes they will miss. And I do appreciate that about them. You're not going to get the same old bullshit. But the problem with the Matrix is that it also, Ethan's not going to remember this, but like it was a phenomenon because it was one of the first things to take that idea of a multimedia approach. To get all the information you have to play the video game. You have to play Enter the Matrix. You have to watch these anime shorts from the Animatrix to really get a lot of information with this. You have to read this book. You have to read this online thing. You have to follow these clues, follow the White Rabbit and all this to really find out all this stuff. But I think the problem is that the Matrix is really the thing about the Matrix is that it has these philosophical ideas, but they are very when you look at, if you're familiar with philosophy, they're kind of basic philosophical ideas. They're not, and that's not me saying a bad thing, but it's just that's the truth. And it felt like they kind of had like a 101 understanding of these ideas, but now when they had the second and the third movie, they were forced to take those to higher levels, and they were kind of out of their depth with that. So yeah, this really stuck out because I love the first Matrix so much. Like I think it is a phenomenal movie, and all of the other bullshit that's had to happen with the Matrix, including the newest one, which was all about shitting on the idea of coming back to a franchise later in life. They had potential, but they were very poorly executed. Whereas I think the first Matrix was, near perfectly executed. And also, like, because of the Matrix, you got so much, like, bullet time was fucking everywhere. Zack Snyder wouldn't even have a fucking career if it wasn't for the Matrix.
They invented the bullet time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, they didn't do it, but their crew, their special effects crew, invented that style.
Yeah, and then you had to set up like hundreds of cameras in a circle to do that shit, and now they just do it with CGI, and it looks so much worse than what it used to. But my number one is the Matrix, so that's my list.
Very passionate list right there. So.
Yeah, you were like, fuck my number 5. It's like, what does he have left for 4 through 1? Holy shit.
Man, this is going to be hard to follow up. Just not what they put on the list, but the enthusiasm behind what they did.
I didn't mean to have this much enthusiasm.
No.
I love the enthusiasm.
No, it was great. It was great. All right. I guess it's me.
Yeah, you go for it.
I was
Jody.
waiting for you to say my name.
You're the host. You got to introduce him properly.
Yeah, host him.
Jody, go with your list.
No. Okay.
Hey, man. Anyway.
No.
Watch the Happy Harry. What if the Watchmen was a cartoon show? It's
in the 80s.
In the 80s, yeah.
Oh man, that'd be great.
It starts with It starts with like the guy and the dog. The dog wasn't even in the fucking movie, I don't think. But
holy shit. Okay, well there you go. All right, what we got?
All right. So, number 5. This show was out for a couple of years, actually. And again, like most of the things that we have on our choices here, it's not that it should have stopped immediately. I think it had like a really good run. You had a really good series. Actors changed, but then came back. Storylines that didn't necessarily have an arcing narrative. They started putting episodes in to kind of tie things together. And then they came together and they decided, like, we're going to have this really great, season. We're going to wrap up all these loose ends. And then after that, we're going to start with something else. Power Rangers. Power Rangers should have ended after they had that arc where, like, Rita and Zed were cursed, quote unquote, and the curse was lifted. They fixed everything. The Power Rangers saved the day, and then we had Ninja Rangers and Lumberjack Rangers and Samurai Rangers.
You're talking about it ended with Power Rangers in space. That was the actual.
Yeah.
Which is the most cliche way to end anything.
It is
like Hellraiser in space.
Hellraiser in space shouldn't have started.
No, I agree with that. But if you're going to end it in space.
Yeah.
That movie.
Are you saying Friday the 13th?
We're diverting him from his list.
I know.
Was it better than Leprechaun in space?
Anything in space.
Yeah.
Is usually, unless it's alien.
Unless it started.
Unless it started in space.
Then it has to end on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's critters.
We're still waiting for that with
and then Critters starts on Earth.
Alien Resurrections ends with them about to be on Earth.
All right.
Yeah, but it doesn't go. But they don't go to Earth.
So
they don't touch the planet.
No, they don't get planet side. Like we're diverting from his list. My bad.
Power Rangers is my number 5. I'm not gonna tear you too long on that.
Yeah.
Number 4. Much love to my childhood. This was a franchise that had been long dead for a long time until Michael Bay decided to start making Transformers. With the odd exception of Bumblebee, should have not ever been a film franchise.
Yeah.
I can't stand any of them except for Bumblebee. They are fucking terrible.
Yeah.
They are fucking awful.
We're getting Beast Wars now.
Yeah. Could only be an improvement, not really. Probably not. I cannot stand most of anything Michael Bay's ever done, but Transformers needs to stop. All right. Number 3, MTV after 2010. the network had already started going into a pretty rapid decline. They had already stopped playing music most of the day and had... As much as I like trash reality TV, there's a threshold, and they broke that really quickly by having 20 different dating shows about people I give no fucks about, and now all it is like 24 hours of ridiculousness.
Yeah.
And it just needs to stop. MTV needs to die. Number 2, the Wachowskis. Just them. They need to stop. Again, I have to echo what Brady said. After Matrix, after the first 1999 Matrix, that's it.
Well,
that is what I'm going to say there. I love Jupiter Ascending.
We'll talk about this later.
I love Jupiter.
Yes, because we're getting to this.
I love Jupiter Ascending, ironically, but I don't like Speed Racer, ironically or unironically. That's just how I feel about that. I'm not a big fan of Matrix 2. Matrix 3 is garbage. The fourth Matrix movie is garbage. So they just need to stop. All right. Number 1, scripted reality television, a.k.a. CNN and Fox News.
Jesus Christ.
That is not news.
I thought I was getting political.
That is bullshit opinions about bullshit.
Oh, yeah. What's the word that they call them? Pundits.
Yeah.
Pundits is a big problem. All right.
Gentlemen, discuss. Let me start off with this. I expected a little bit more crossover, and I know it's my number one, so yeah, but I was surprised nobody else said The Simpsons.
I just I am so ambivalent about a lot of the things that I listed. I am so ambivalent about that I was just like, I can't even.
For me, looking back, like The Simpsons are responsible for my humor.
Mm-hmm. The Simpsons are responsible for most of our humor because even the people.
But for me personally, I look back and like the avant-gardeness, especially seasons 4 through 8, like where they really start playing with the whole format and doing weird shit. Just the whole idea that anything is insultable, which again, Eb Lemon goes through this in his YouTube video about it. But yeah, just anything. There are no sacred cows with The Simpsons, and then you see that propagated on in the works of like in South Park, Family Guy, in the animated area. Even in their time, I would say I don't think you get a show greenlighted like Dinosaurs without The Simpsons existing. It's basically ABC's attempt to try to copy that effect for it. The Simpsons had a tremendous amount of impact in their first 8 years. That is 1/4 of their entire lifespan.
Yeah, Dinosaurs came before The Simpsons, Jay.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty positive. Unless you're counting the Tracy Ullman shorts, I'm pretty sure Dinosaurs came before The Simpsons.
I think the Dinosaurs came in the 90s.
I want to say Dinosaurs came out in 89, but I could be wrong.
While they're looking that up,
1991
was the Dinosaurs.
Simpsons are before the Dinosaurs.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that because I actually remember the beginning of Dinosaurs.
That's a show that knew how to end. If you're gonna have dinosaurs, fucking end the planet.
They didn't have a choice in that.
Yeah. But in not having a choice, they came up with like one of the most like hardcore fucking endings you could imagine for a puppet show.
Like that, that and Alf.
The reasons why I didn't think about The Simpsons, like you said when you were making your dissertation, faded from memory. I have not thought about The Simpsons in a very long time.
I since they were on Disney Plus, I've rewatched some of the select episodes from the older seasons and enjoyed them. But like I'm so ambivalent about The Simpsons. Like I have come to really like it's going to go on forever, and there's nothing that I can do about it. So there's no point in complaining.
I think the only thing that I looked forward to in the much later seasons when I was still watching it actively were the Treehouse of Horror episodes. Those were usually always at least one out of the episode.
The last thing I think I remember popularly about The Simpsons is the Banksy opening that that Banksy did one year, where they're literally lampooning like the notion of The Simpsons, the fact that it became this pop media, very consumer item. It's like, do you want next to your Garfield stuck on your windshield? There's probably also Bart stuck on your windshield.
Yeah.
I think when it came to making my list was like things in like recent memory that I just don't want to deal with anymore.
Yeah, and like I said, with a lot of like the shows and things like that, I thought about them, but like I felt so ambivalent about them now that like it isn't like The Walking Dead was I feel very ambivalent about The Walking Dead, but I think that one was also important because it brought about this glut of zombie material that we now have to deal with. Well, like, we're not excited when a zombie movie comes out. We're just like,
also, just like The Matrix, when they started that show, they didn't know they had a hit on their hands right away, and then like there was another writer strike in between, I think season 1 and 2, which is why 1 only had half a seasons of episodes. Half the amount of episodes for a normal season, but The Walking Dead, has it had that issue of it started becoming more popular, and so they started stretching out the story. And I think they also had an issue with because they were still making like the comic, right? Like
the comic actually ended before because it's like surprise ended. It ended before before the show ended.
And I also think Robert Kirkman is very good at reading the room.
Yeah.
And I think when he saw this thing's going to outlive this. It just is. So why string this out to give them more material? I'm just good. Like my name's already on it. I'm getting a check every week or whatever the residuals
Right. Just go ahead and finish the work.
Let's go ahead and let me finish this on my own terms. That's something Robert Kirkman can say that I don't think Matt Groening will ever be able to say about The Simpsons. I hate to go back there, but it's like Matt Groening, I cannot remember the year, but it's like whenever we make a movie out of this, that's it. It's done.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
made a movie out of it, and
It
a
kept
decade
going.
and a
They
half
still are,
later,
Yeah.
they're still making them.
Right.
What was
Yeah.
the movie? Like 2008, 2009?
Something like
I think
that.
I
It
think
was like an 8 or 9.
Oh, it was either the late aughts or the early 10s.
Yeah.
We still had a blockbuster in Pascagoula when that came out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So while we were discussing things, Jody, who would you like to give the parachute to?
Or the bullet, or however you want to
Whatever
describe
term
it.
you want to,
Whatever-
golden ticket or
Golden ticket.
We don't want to get sued by the Roald Dahl.
Yeah. Okay. The
so we
aluminum.
can't-
The aluminum.
The aluminum
Roto-Rooter.
ticket.
Yeah.
The
the aluminum rotor-rooter.
The aluminum Roto-Rooter.
While you're thinking about that, I want to
Okay.
bring up a disagreement.
Okay.
Okay.
right.
There's a reason why I specifically put the Matrix on there because while I don't like everything that the Wachowski sisters do, I wholeheartedly appreciate them because again, they take humongous swings. They miss a lot, and even the stuff that I like can be very messy. But I appreciate because they are one of the few people who are putting out humongous blockbuster things that are different. All of their shit is different. Like you can't really compare any of their things and say, "Oh, it's just all kind of the same stuff."
I love the Matrix Resurrected for the reason that it felt the same way like how we just said about Robert Kirkman, where he ended The Walking Dead on his own terms. Someone's going to make this.
That is, that
Someone
is
was
true.
going to make
That
the
is
Matrix
true.
4.
I will say that the behind the scenes, they were going to make
Yeah.
that regardless.
Let me make the Matrix 4 and kind of like salt, let me be both Rome and Carthage. Let me conquer salt the earth at the same time. I respect that.
I
do
appreciate
respect
their
that.
stuff more than I actually like their stuff, but I think that they should continue with that. Like I really liked Sense8, which is a show on Netflix.
They both produced that, right?
Yes, I believe so. I think Lily was the main one.
That's the
with
one
that.
I haven't seen, but I did watch Cloud Atlas.
Yeah,
And-
I'm not going to defend
Right.
most of their stuff as
Right.
being good. I just
Right.
appreciate that they take really big swings and they get a lot of money to make crazy ass movies.
It's kind of a bring back of when we talked about last week about Isaac Asimov being an ideas guy, not necessarily a follow through on the ideas guy.
Yeah.
Like they have these high minded ideals, and then maybe somebody comes along and does it maybe better.
That's possible. Yeah.
Possible. Okay.
That's the reason why I specifically put the Matrix on there. But the Matrix did lead to a lot of the bullshit that we have to deal with. So what else would anybody want to discuss?
I vote for Monopoly to be the number one, and we should have all thought about that. We should be the number one.
I just like Monopoly is another one of those things that I keep so far out of my brain.
Yeah, no,
that
I
it's-
get you.
It's
I
like
get you.
I'm not going to put brain power into thinking
I
about.
just
fucking
don't want
Monopoly.
anybody else to catch Monopoly. I don't want anyone to catch. Like I'm tired of when people come to the shop and they like for their first time, it's like, oh, what games do you like to play? Well, we play a lot of Monopoly. I'm like, it's too late.
Yeah.
Their time is gone.
Well, anytime anybody ever asks me what kind of games we play before I could even tell them anything, they always go, so do you play like games like Monopoly?
If I could prevent one person from picking up Jurassic Park Monopoly, my
That
life will
one
have
specific
meaning.
Monopoly.
My life will have meaning for one person
but
to never play.
it's a
touch that
specifically
game.
bad
Right,
Monopoly.
right.
Do you like Monopoly? How about instead of when you pass go, sometimes you don't collect your money.
Yeah.
And it's all based off of whether or not a robot box shoots out a song or a T-Rex.
Hey,
Let's add more luck to a luck-based game.
Yeah.
do you like being trampled on by a T-Rex multiple turns in a row?
Yeah, and have
'Cause
to
that's
pay it
what'll
money.
happen.
The T-Rex isn't eating you; it's mugging you.
Another
you can
big-
get locked.
And you had to pay more for that Jurassic Park.
Another
version of
problem with Monopoly is that nobody fucking plays by the actual rules
That's
of
also
Monopoly.
true.
So they do all of these things that make Monopoly way worse. Like it's not a great game to begin with, but they constantly are insisting that you have to do these house rules that make the game so much fucking worse and take so much longer.
I want to pose something real quick. You
Yeah.
can get soft locked by the T-Rex because you move before the T-Rex, and it's like when you roll the dice, one is like a regular die, one is like an amber die. You move like
How dare you insult Amber by bringing up that letter? And fuck you, no.
an orange die. Okay,
Thank you. Much better. 10 out of 10.
you
Good job.
moved
Good
the
job. You fixed
combined
it.
total, and then the T-Rex moved the orange die amount. So you can move like 6 spaces. You went from the dinosaur. Hey, the T-Rex moves ahead to like 5. And I'm like, oh, I'm back. But I got trampled on. Oh, look, it's my turn again. I get in front of the T-Rex. Oh, the T-Rex moves. I get soft locked.
I vote for WoW to be on the list.
Oh, bold. Why?
Ooh.
Just it's got a stranglehold on the fucking MMO RPG experience.
Oh, no, I disagree with that. Final Fantasy 14 has made great strides
Well, that's
in the last
good.
3 years to be established alongside that. Like in particular, I think, God, this is going to be so weird for me to say this. It's the better MMO. It started out hyper fucking garbage. Anybody playing that game, playing Final Fantasy 14 has to admit the opening stages of it was some of the worst MMO that has ever been produced.
Yeah.
It's now literally rotated down to being way better than, again, what is considered the standard in my opinion.
WoW, I don't feel strongly enough about to really be able to put a vote for.
For me, see this one. The reason why this one resonates with me is I grew up on Warcraft, Warcraft 2, and Warcraft 3.
Right.
Some of the best real-time strategy games that were ever created. So, like, the idea that this game came out and that, okay, the story is going to move on. I then realized that at a certain point, I want the story to end and go away for a little while, and then maybe come back with something new later on down
But it
the
never
line.
goes away.
The problem with WoW is that they've come full circle, and now they're releasing classic versions of the
they've already done that.
version.
Yeah. They've already done like the classic. I think they're already up to
they're
Wrath
only
of
like
Lich King.
3. Yeah, the
And I think that was like a fan started thing too, because they had vanilla servers.
So
right?
you had the
what
server.
the fuck are you doing?
You had the
Like,
server called Nostalrius, which was basically the World of Warcraft client, but run on like the old patches. And to Activision Blizzard's discredit, they let that go too long and let that float in the ether. And then finally, you had the moment at BlizzCon where they asked, "Hey, could you bring back like the classic WoW stuff?" And one of the most insulting statements. Maybe that should be a top 5 of us one day. Insulting statements made by Activision Blizzard employees, where he says, it's like, no. And not only are we not going to do that, you don't want that. Like, tell me to my face what I do and don't want. Like, that goes alongside, you guys don't even have phones, talking about Diablo Immortal. Like, that's a whole
Is this
other
an
list in
April
of itself.
Fool's joke?
That was someone from the audience.
Right.
Kudos on that guy.
Yeah.
Give that man a crown.
Oh yeah.
Give him some land somewhere.
Yeah.
Make him a king.
if it can stand for all award shows, I vote the Grammys are on there. The Grammys are the worst. I pay attention to, like, I'm gonna look. I'm not gonna watch the Oscars because who has that fucking time? But I am going to pay attention to like what wins. And I have been trying to watch the movies that are Oscar nominated, even though because they're the movies that I wanted to see anyway. I'm not watching fucking Avatar 2, but or Top Gun Maverick out of principle.
You're missing a good movie.
I will just not. I will miss a good movie.
Okay. Okay.
I have principles, and I will live by this one. Damn it.
I hold to the Grammys because
the Grammys are the worst because the Grammys.
Question how valid the Grammys have ever been.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned the Weekend Spot. We've mentioned the Jethro Tull and Jethro Tull winning Best Metal Album.
Yeah.
There is, I want to say a fundamental, but there is a disconnect in the Grammy voters and and what is like you can. It's widened greatly with the other ones. Like if you look at like what I would say the Emmys actually are as relevant as they have ever been because I think they embraced because they had to. Streaming television and things like that to represent that.
Yeah.
So I think the Emmys are way more relevant than they ever have been. I think the Oscars have been slowly falling away. I don't think the Grammys have ever been relevant. Like
Yeah,
never.
the Grammys are pretty out of it most of the time. Like there's a problem when Silk Sonic says they're just not going to submit anything for the Grammys because they want other people to have a chance to win. Like that's a problem.
Yeah, that's a big fucking problem.
The Grammys are the worst. The Golden Globes are ass as well though because the Hollywood Foreign Press fucking sucks. But yeah.
Are we getting a consensus for the Grammys?
That sounds good to me.
I'm alright with the Grammys.
4 more, gentlemen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm giving Ethan my Ticket to Paradise.
All right.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
All right. So if you want to, do you want to use that now? Or do you want to save it for?
Well, I wanted to save the Grammy. No.
Well,
Too late, bitch.
No, wait. You can.
No.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of the Grammys.
Good. You're not good. You're not getting short sheeted tonight. Bianca, don't short sheet him tonight, or do. It's up to you. However you want to live your life. Bianca's in the studio audience tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
There are 3 things that I really do not want on the list, but it's kind of hard for me to.
Well,
choose.
what are those 3?
I actually do like the Transformers movies.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Okay.
I saw him. I heard him say Jesus. I saw Jody tense up, and then Bianca starts like bringing like some object towards her neck.
I argue that
it was a thumbs down.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
that the first one is watchable.
Yeah,
It's not
I
great.
have to agree with
If
that.
you turn your brain off, the first one is watchable, and it is diminishing returns every single fucking time.
Two things. One, I get distracted by Megan. I forget that it's a Transformer movie, and then Megan Fox is there. It's like, oh, you've got a really good engine in this car. It's like purient interest. The second thing is
bad acting.
The second thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention to her acting. I'm a terrible man. I apologize, ladies. Anyway,
well. It's also kind of McElbay's fault for constantly leering at her.
Yeah, but the
Draping
second
her over a motorcycle.
The second thing, nostalgia-wise for me, hearing Peter Cullen say, "My name is Optimus Prime."
Yeah,
that gets me.
Oh yeah, he knows. He knows how to do that.
And it's like what Jay said. It's a nostalgia thing. I love Transformers.
Yeah.
I love playing with the Transformers cars with my brother. I loved watching the movies growing up.
I loved watching the movie growing up. I loved playing with the toys when I was growing up. I do not like the Michael Bay movies. That's
excluding Bumblebee.
Excluding Bumblebee.
I had to put that parenthesis.
Excluding Bumblebee.
Well, Bumblebee wasn't. Michael Bay, I think, was an executive producer, but he did not direct or write that movie.
But at the same time, I also like the Guitar Hero games because, again, I love playing it with my brother.
That's my thing. I never disliked the Guitar Hero games. I think that it should have stopped so that it could have continued on.
Yeah, because you don't have them now, and also
because it was a glut, and nowadays like that has completely gone out the window.
Yeah, the guys from
like
Harmonix
that doesn't
and Neversoft
exist anymore.
The guys, and they also meant the Harmonix and Neversoft guys both mentioned. More so than any other video game on this list or any other video game out there is a margin for those games that is hard to fucking beat because in addition to the disc, even if you do the download, even if it's just a download code in there, forget pressing a disc. You have to produce, for Rock Band, you have to produce 2 guitars, a drum kit, and a microphone.
Yep.
Okay, so what's your profit margin on this game? Where do you price this to where people will buy it? Do you piecemeal the stuff out, but then you worry about you've built all of these, like, let's say, microphones that are never going to be sold to anybody? Like, I think a lot of the thing of why it was rushed out so much is I feel they felt they only had a short amount of time to make as much profit on it as they could. It's capitalist to its ultimate core, but I can also see the point. That being said, I don't think anyone in this room hates Guitar Hero Rock Band, and I think Brady hit it on the head. The reason it burned itself out, that's why the question top 5 media that should have stopped. That's more of a after, like, looking back warning rather than a I wish it would stop now.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I totally get the reasoning.
That's why MTV 2010 is what I said, and
See, I put MTV because even before 2010, we were drifting away from music television.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it went to here's MTV2. This is where you actually watch the music videos, and then that slowly got taken over by basically everyone in the Jackass crew gets a reality show, and we're going to do that.
Yeah. And then Rob Drydeck was like, "Hey, do you have 22 hours for me to do the same episodes of the same shows over and over again?"
And then
VH1
I think there's a MTV3, and that was me, or they called it MTV Music or something. I can't remember exactly, but it was a third channel, and that was exclusively. And I think
MTV Music, which stands for Music Television Music.
That's probably not it, but it was something like that.
It would get redundant like that, like the joke from what was it? Is it basketball? No, it's from Dodgeball about ESPN, the Ocho.
Yeah.
And then they actually brought out the Ocho as a joke. Yeah, I know.
So I think I'm going to use the parachute on Transformers.
Okay, Transformers is saved. It is not part of the top 5 media that we will erase from all of mankind. So. Bumblebee is double protected.
Sure.
So there's a lot of shading on Michael Bay. I think he's actually not as bad as people.
The Rock is one of my favorite.
There are
The Rock, yeah, I mean, you go back far enough.
He's actually like some of the stuff when he's not like making Transformer movies,
making things explode all the time.
Even the making something explode.
He's always making.
I'm okay with explosions.
He's not. You're not going to get a deep movie, but he does do interesting things, even if from a filmmaker perspective.
I think
I've heard there's a lot of interesting things with drones in Ambulance, and I've heard that's actually a pretty solid movie. I just haven't gotten. I just don't get like super excited. If you say it's a Michael Bay movie, I don't get super excited. But he has made some like pretty fun watchable movies. If you turn your brain off, you're just not going to get much. It's going to be empty calories basically.
I think of him as optimistic Roland Emmerich. Like Roland Emmerich always destroys the world, but then everybody wins afterward. Michael Bay doesn't let the world. It gets threatened, with Transformers that have testicles. But whatever. Whatever.
That was a.
I am like, to be fair, John Turturro is one of the few actors that could turn that line into a laugh, and then later you're like, oh, what the fuck? But it's like, I am situated directly underneath the robot's testicles. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, anybody short of Turturro caliber would have not made that as interesting as it was.
I want to put MTV on the list.
I was about to say
I'm fine with MTV on being on the list. I haven't. There's a reason why I'm glad that I don't have cable anymore. Because it's just a slog.
It is shit.
8 days out of the week, ridiculousness.
Yeah, ridiculousness or some really shitty reality show. We can't even like talk about music anymore.
For me, Brady's number 2. If you had said The Wait for A Song of Ice and Fire, I would co-sign it. The show has done more damage to the franchise than the original show. House of Dragons was actually exceptional in my opinion.
There's a weird thing because the Game of Thrones final 2 seasons, it can be argued, were so like disappointing that it basically dropped out of the consciousness of online fandom. But then the House of the Dragon comes up and gets like 1 billion people to watch, like a ridiculous amount of people to watch
slowly,
it.
like it was developed that audience,
and it jumped up again. So it's one of those things where I think people online felt much stronger about it. It's one of those reminders that not everybody is online. When you see what you see on Twitter is not like an actual representation of the world. That being said, I still I didn't love the last 2 seasons. Right. But yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that shit.
I'll go there. I make a motion for A Song of Ice and Fire to be on the list. If he never completes it, will we have lost anything?
I don't think we will. See, that's my thing. Like if The Winds of Winter and Song of Spring never come out, I am not going to I'm not going to limit.
A Winds of Winter and because again, he had to make Dance of Dragons into 2 books, A Feast for Crows and then A Dance of Dragons. So does he have to make more books out of the 2 he's planning?
Possible. It's possible that there aren't only two books left. Who fucking knows? Because again, A Song of Ice and Fire was supposed to be a trilogy. I think actually it was supposed to be 1 book, and then it was a trilogy, and then it was 5 books, and then 6 books, and then 7, however many books.
And then here we are today.
Yeah. Each got increasingly longer. Excuse me.
I've heard an agreement with that. It's on your list. Are we putting it?
It is Game of Thrones. It started off the entire Game of Thrones.
Series. Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with Ice and Fire.
I would like to make a nomination, if I would.
Nominate.
This video game series has been going downhill for a long ass time. Call of Duty, for me, after Black Ops 2, just like Ethan's, after Black Ops 2 for me personally, not Black Ops, just all of their different named franchises, Warzone. The games don't change. They have been the same forever.
Modern Warfare.
The Modern Warfare 2 reboot was okay because it was based off of a good game, but everything else that they put out every year, there's a game, and it doesn't change enough. In fact, like Ghost, sometimes they take steps back, and I think the fact that they have 3 different game companies making these Activision Call of Duty games every year, it's just like, and it just pounded into the people that play them. It's like, oh, well, the new one's coming out, and you spent like $100 on DLC or whatever the season pass is, and then like your friends are going to move on to the next game, and you're going to be stuck with not playing with your friends anymore.
2 things to your point. First, when someone told me that Warzone like totally like revolutionizes the way you play Call of Duty. Wait, you mean like Fortnite and PUBG where it's a battle royale? Like they do stuff. I will say they do stuff with the battle royale format, like the Gulag, where you can buy your way back in. There's something about I at least it kind of like that because it's an extended play. Like death is not the end necessarily. I kind of dig that.
Let me tell you about Warzone though, Jay.
Okay.
The Warzone came out like 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. Nothing has changed with that game. At least Fortnite at least will move things around. Before they started redoing the whole map, Fortnite would move things around or add different things. Warzone is practically the same game it was like 2-3 years ago.
I would say if I have the option of playing like a battle royale game, I'm choosing Totally Accurate Battle Royale. It's like the same people that made Totally Accurate Battle Simulator with like all the ragdoll physics.
I played Warzone. I played it for a good 6 months or so, and I'm just like, what am I doing?
My second point, I get what you're saying about Call of Duty. Madden is worse. Madden is so much worse. And Madden is thoroughly monetized to make people buy digital players to make their digital team digitally better. It thrilled me to no end to hear that a man who paid $60,000. I think it's either 20 or 60. I don't know why 60 jumped in my head.
It's still thousands,
but it's at least tens of thousands of dollars lost in a Madden Ultimate tournament to a dude who just opened packs. Like fresh packs. That heartened me because it's like, okay, it's not pay to win, but I'm pretty sure a lot of times it's pay to win if you can do stuff like that.
Counterpoint, that's like almost every like 2K sports game. Like like
NBA 2K could be a very good example.
The monetization of franchises,
especially sports games,
especially in sports games, and then any kind of like franchise or anything like that is a big problem.
Also, the FIFA World Cup game.
I think superhero movies need to be on there.
Okay.
I have a high tolerance for superhero movies, higher than most people, because I grew up reading comic books and being really interested in superheroes and everything. So like I was one of those people who, when they said there's a Guardian of the Galaxy movie coming out, I was like, holy shit, a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And people were like, what the fuck is this? This is a tree and a raccoon. What the fuck is going on? Why am I interested in this?
Because instead you would have had either an X-Men movie or you would have had an X-Men.
Yeah, well, like I was in there with X-Men, with Spider-Man, with all these movies, but like they're really like the newest Ant-Man came out and like
nobody cares.
I felt like,
or at least
I thought about I should go see this, and then I really got to thinking about getting up and going to the theater and watching this movie, and I was like, I'm good. I don't need to. I'm good.
Here's why I'll co-sign.
And this is the first one where I think the fatigue is finally, and also with the constant, with like a show coming out every 2 months, it felt like this is too much to keep up with.
In a similar way to The Simpsons, we are approaching a point where in the middle of all of these movies will be a movie called Endgame. Like what? Like the end. Okay, so if you just look at them based on go 20 years in the future, where maybe kids then don't know, or I won't say kids, young adults don't have that initial attachment, like because they weren't there at ground zero on it. They see a thing called Endgame, say, oh, this is the last one. Then everything came after was like before that, and say you would maybe necessarily think that just based on fucking title.
Yeah, right. The fact that it seriously is getting to where you have to watch all of the bullshit to really understand what's going on, that's a problem. I think a big thing is the fact that back in the day, and I know I'm going to sound like an old man with this, when you had a superhero thing, the franchises were separate. So they didn't interact. So it was very easy to understand, okay, with Spider-Man, I just have to follow the Spider-Man movies to know what the fuck happened.
You just need to watch the
Batmans, I just need to
movies.
watch this Batman movie,
Right.
you know.
You don't need to watch the Batman movies to watch Superman movies.
Yeah, but now to understand things, I have to watch all of these and they're all connected. So they're all having to throw little things in, and they all sacrifice things that could make their movie better because they have to throw these things in. There are parts of Wakanda Forever that make the movie worse because they have to throw in these little extra things.
And I could throw this in too. And DC keeps failing at trying to make a universe because of Marvel's cinematic universe.
Everything
that succeeds.
and now everything has to be a fucking universe.
Yeah.
Whether it's just not just the superhero movies. Now everything, if it's a franchise, it has to be a goddamn universe.
DC's trying to get out of parallel park, and they keep hitting the cars in front and behind them because they don't know how to pull
they'll
out.
have a hit every once in a while.
I appreciated the first Venom movie because it was separate from what from the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
At the very least, like, I have no interest in that movie, but at the very least, it was that. Like,
Wait a minute, superhero movies should be on this because of Morbius. But alone and
fair enough.
unquestioned.
Yeah.
Fair enough. We don't need to give Jared Leto any more bullshit.
I like the part, ironically, in the trailer where they showed him in his orange suit when he started flying through the air, and there was like orange traces from it.
Yeah,
Jody,
That makes sense.
would you like to take a gambles with me?
What's that?
All right. I vote for Madden. You would vote for COD. Unless either of the other two gentlemen see anything else. Which would you prefer being on the list? COD or Madden?
I would say COD, not only because it is something from my list, but it's just getting to where I see like a Call of Duty game announcement, and I'm like, oh, is this going to be the exact same thing that you've been doing like for the past 10 years going on, and absolutely have nothing different except for like, hey, you have different gun skins.
This one's tough for me because I feel so ambivalent about both of these nowadays that it's hard for me to really make a decision.
And since we're down to the last
and I
pick,
don't particularly like. I've never played either one of these with any great amount. In fact, I've never really played Call of Duty. I have watched one of my bum friends play Call of Duty on our couch while not paying rent for untold amounts of hours. And this is back when like just Advanced Warfighter was out, you know. So I don't know. It's hard. This is hard for me to. I
do believe we should have a video game on this list because some video they're well represented across most of the.
yeah,
list.
yeah. Don't want to touch the CNN, Fox News, do you?
Like, we don't have a.
I mean, you're not wrong, but-
nobody's number one is on the list yet.
Yeah, that is true.
I'm not upset about that, to be honest.
So the choice is now Call of Duty or CNN/Fox News. MSNBC gets a pass though, apparently, but CNN.
No,
Fox
they're
News, they're getting on there. Okay,
yeah,
hold on,
just throw that on there.
The 24-hour news cycle.
Any of those cable
is
news-
a really big problem.
Sensationalism.
It's a really,
All right,
really
cool.
big problem. But I think that I'll be honest, I think that's beyond the scope of our podcast.
Probably.
We might have to start another podcast if we
No,
want to
I
go
don't
down
wanna
that
touch
road.
that.
And I don't want to do that.
Jody's already starting his third podcast with a friend of ours. Will have his second podcast.
Yeah.
We gotta know. We so far have enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we get more people, maybe spin off another one. Who knows?
I don't know. I'll abstain my vote from Call of Duty or Madden. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm okay with either one of them being on the list, but I don't have strong enough feelings to really be able to make that decision.
What would you have a strong feeling for? And if you can't give me something, we'll just go on with COD.
I don't like. That's the thing. Even though I was very passionate, like I don't feel strong. Like I agree with the vast majority of these things. I just don't have, because I'm so fucking worn down by most of these things that I'm just like,
I'd actually,
fuck.
I have one thing I want to say about between the two franchises. And I'm not backpedaling here, but the differences between COD and Madden or / other sports games is COD has been mediocre at best for a long time, and the Madden series along with 2K and the others, whether they have improved or not isn't really the point as far as I'm concerned. I have to agree with Jay on the ridiculous over monetization on Madden, so I would actually go with the Madden. Because of,
I'm thinking about this.
Okay,
so,
go for it.
I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No. That's where
we want to foster conversation here.
If I think of Madden as kind of a stand-in for basically sports games nowadays, and then I think of Call of Duty as kind of a stand-in for these big blockbuster franchises that have one come out every year. I think when it comes to like more harm, it would be Madden. Because the monetization is so fucking predatory.
Not that we're saying that there's no monetization in Call of Duty.
Call of Duty,
it's there. It's just not.
It's all a fucking problem,
prevalent.
and this is the reason. This is one of the reasons why I don't play a lot of video games. Especially, I do not play online games. Like that's just not something that I do because of how ridiculous
FIFA itself is on the level of DOA when it comes to monetization for costumes. $5 for hair color and shit like that.
Yeah, so. FIFA, Madden, pretty much any of those made by EA is garbage. The 2K games have gotten out of hand.
We'll put Madden on there.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I'm okay with Madden.
That's fine. All right.
I'm lukewarm about Madden, but I'll accept it.
Well, host, explain to everybody what is our not yet ordered, but in the top 5.
The nominations for the top 5 are the Grammys, MTV, Song of Ice and Fire, superhero movies, and Madden NFL. Now,
my kidneys are shutting down just looking at this fucking list. Like, goddamn.
I
It's pretty
want to
rough.
Both when I see this.
It's
list.
pretty rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of this needs to stop.
Yeah.
Can we just label all of them 1 and 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D?
I'll be honest, I'm fine with that.
I
It's getting
kind of
really late.
am too, but
I think for me personally, the way we have it right now, with the exception of like Madden and superheroes, because I think the Grammys should be number 1.
My gut was like superhero movies number 1 because I think that's the ones that we all 4 feel strongly about.
Yeah, no, I'd have to. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong there.
I'm fine. I'm
fine with
totally okay
superhero movies on number 1.
There we go. Take that, superhero movies.
Get fucked.
You're on the fucking list.
Get fucked.
Do we want to nominate?
This will be on here this will be in this studio for another 8 months until we do another one of these fuckers.
I think, let me say this, as the sick man in the room, MTV is probably going to end sooner than anything else on this list because of just how the cable networks are just falling apart.
It'll have its own MTV
so MTV
streaming
is the Ottoman
service.
Empire.
MTV is the Ottoman Empire of this list.
MTV streaming coming to a streaming device.
Do we put MTV at
Congratulations to all 3 people who got that joke.
Yes, exactly. MTV at 5. MTV at 5 because it's almost about to be
That's
dead.
fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Cable is dying anyway.
Yeah, cable's totally dying.
Either it will die or cable will die.
Yeah, and or it'll die
The
with
Grammys, A Song of Ice and Fire, and Madden NFL. How did we get to a 3-plate like this?
Jesus Christ.
Look at this 3-course meal that we have to devour and then
I
shit
hate
out.
all of this.
Yeah. That's why we did this list.
See, me personally, Madden's like number 4, I think.
Yeah.
Because I just don't feel as strongly
I'd
about
have to
that.
agree.
With Madden being at 4, I would like to say the Grammys at 2.
I'm okay with that.
I think the Grammys should be at least at 2.
Yeah, I'm okay with that because the Grammys are egregiously bad
I thought
in a lot of ways.
what's strange about this is just me going into this. I thought that we would have a bit more crossover, and I thought it would be easier to get to the 5 than to order the 5.
Right.
This is completely the fucking opposite.
Yeah.
Once we got first of all, almost no, like, You can say that Game of Thrones and Song of Ice and Fire is a little bit of a crossover.
The Matrix and the
Wachowski brothers are brothers, sisters, or siblings, however you want to put that. But it's not a true crossover. The fact that once we got to this point, it was like boom, 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 and it was just done.
Well, we've argued out most of the points by now, so
right. All right.
So English. The official Travelers of
No, do it in German. This is the top 5. No.
Doing it and yelling is
don't do that. Don't yell.
Don't yell.
Or do it in
yell.
German. Yeah. Don't do it in German.
The Travelers on the Omnibus top 5 medias that should have just stopped.
Or bottom 5, depending on how you want to look at it.
No. These are the top 5.
Or middle 5 if you're dyslexic.
Yeah.
Number 5, MTV. Number 4, Madden NFL. Number 3, Song of Ice and Fire. Number 2, The Grammys. And number 1, all superhero movies.
Yeah, do you hear that? You've all been warned.
Yeah,
you are
all
on this list.
Superhero movies.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Don't count Guardians, though, because they're not superheroes. They're in space. All right, so...
There are.
Do I have to put a parenthesis by that right now? Except for
Guardians.
We didn't. That
they're
says
not
superhero movies.
They're not superheroes.
Not all superhero movies.
Yeah.
There are exceptions.
Yeah.
You know,
especially the
Suicide Squad was a good movie.
The Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad.
Suicide
Yeah, I'm
Squad,
sorry.
no.
Yeah, I can't. I forgot.
Must be some sort of Suicide Squad.
Jesus Christ.
So should we just make this Marvel and DC movie?
No.
Because if Image Comics comes out with a movie, fuck them.
I'm waiting for the Max. No, I'm not. All right.
Well.
Oh, now I want to see a Max. God damn it. Maybe we have no. We're just moving on.
Well, they just fuck it up. Right now, I have no faith in anybody to do a superhero movie.
We finally done,
except maybe James Gunn.
Yeah,
we finally done a negative chalkboard.
Whiskey and Wrestling is
Wait, hold on. Train coming in the straight. That's the door opening.
Whiskey and Wrestling is a podcast hosted by our buddies Michael Hill and Jason Holder. They talk about wrestling. However, they might not be talking about new wrestling if it continues on the way it is.
Yeah.
Fuck AEW.
Fuck Vince being at the fucking gorilla position back
fuck
at Raw
Vince's
last
mustache.
night.
Yeah, there's no bright spots in wrestling right now except for Orange Cassidy, our Lord and Savior.
Yeah. And Danhausen,
who's probably going to lose to Jeff Jarrett next week.
Yeah, Whiskey and Wrestling. They're on all the shows, podcasts.
Fearology is a podcast that our one and only Jody Kite or JL Kite. He goes into a deep dive on horror films. He talks about his personal experiences with them. We should be expecting an episode.
Yes, there's going to be a new episode probably this weekend.
Oh, hell yeah.
There we go.
I watched Play Misty for me, so I'll be talking about female stalkers.
Oh.
Okay.
Get ready to listen to that
on...
on...
a Clint Eastwood movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Get ready to listen to that on Anchor and Spotify, I believe.
Yes.
Again, that is Fearology.
All right. Kevin Gallo, a.k.a. Ron and Roosta on Twitch and Kevin Gallo on YouTube, provides every Tuesday night some sweet RPG styles, whether it is the hard, dark future of Cyberpunk Red, which he is the GM of, or it is the fantastic and fun Poke-Roll, the unofficial Pokemon role-playing game as hosted by our friend Jared Hubbard from a yet-to-be-named podcast, which will be handled by Blue Macho Man shirt over there. But yes, that is...
What?
That is Ronan Roosta, a.k.a. Kevin Gallo, on Twitch and on YouTube.
Jared Hubbalubba Ding Dong and Blake Sheldy Weldy Duddy Beldy.
I wish you'd have told me this so I could have like some Grease music going on. Who put the hub in the hub? Who put the shell in the shell of the ding dong? And then we could drive away on a Corvette. It would be great.
Yeah, we really died.
Fan theory.
Oh man, it's really it's not fun to have your daughter watch Grease and be like, man, this is teaching some really shitty lessons. Change yourself to get a man. That's all you have to do.
Also, boys, if you want to get a good girl, just have a nice car. It'll get you tit.
Yep.
It'll just straight get you tit.
They sing a whole song about that. Yeah, they do silence your cell phones. If you want their real names, look it up. What is this?
Wait,
a plug?
No. Kevin Shelton and Jarrett Hubbard, the boys from Birmingham.
I'm encouraging people to look it up. Maybe they're curious about, hey, what are these people's names? And then they go, oh, this podcast is actually pretty cool. Let me actually listen to it. If you tell them their names, they'll know everything. So what will they look up?
Their names aren't actually Shabalaba Ding Dong.
They'll look up Kevin Shelton's Twitch channel, XNX Vision, where he is currently playing One Piece, the card game.
I've got a challenge for the boys from Birmingham. They should watch the boys from Brazil.
Jesus Christ.
What? No, I'd rescind that challenge on behalf of the management of Travelers on the Omnibus.
I mean, it's a free country. Do what you want. Yeah.
But yeah,
Check them out.
Watch it freely instead of being challenged to do it.
Yeah.
The completed podcast hosted by Chris Vega, Brandon Scott Tanner, and Brandon Smith. They go into deep dives of Magic the Gathering competitively, the different formats, their own personal takes on it. Again, that is the completed podcast.
I like how my promo, I didn't even say what anything was
exactly.
about.
It was great.
I like that. I appreciate that.
We've gone from forgetting to plug people to just mentioning them, and then you have to figure out what the fuck is going on.
We'd like to take this time to thank Cameron Spanier for it.
Sole owner and
and
God of
proprietor.
MacNarp Gaming in Gaucher, Mississippi.
Thanks, Cameron.
Thank you, Cameron.
Thank you, Cameron.
Hey, Jody, what do they have over there?
They have stuffed animals.
They have stuffed
They
animals.
do
Stuffed
have some
mythical
stuffed
creatures.
animals.
They have a big chunk red dragon mask you can get.
Which is
currently
apparently going to be
have-
in the new movie.
There are 10-ish or so D&D the animated series lunch boxes you can purchase.
Yeah, that's strange, but we're okay with that.
New sets of Chessex dice that are very pimp.
Yeah, it's very pimp dice.
And they have board games and puzzles and chess and shit.
There you go. There we go. You didn't trademark that yet, so he can just say that whenever he wants. It's great.
Well, I followed it with chess and shit,
shit,
so it's not
No,
puzzles.
it's the and shit. It's the and shit that's trademarked.
Yeah.
I've become enlightened and left that bit behind. Whoever wants it may pick it up. Ethan, when you looked back and there were only one footprint in the sands, that was me carrying your ass.
I'm not cutting a single minute of that.
You're really proud of yourself, aren't you?
Oh, man. I don't give a shit who laughs as long as I get giggles out of
There you
it.
go.
That was pretty good.
All right,
That's pretty good.
I think we're about done here.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure we're done.
Well, Bianca's
I have
enjoying
not
it.
yet begun to bit. Jesus Christ.
Are you
It is past midnight. I'm turning
you
into a fucking...
stroking?
Yes. It is fucking late.
It is.
I am tired.
It is.
I have to go to Bay St. Louis in the morning
Oh, no.
Oh,
Okay,
shit.
well,
for like 4 fucking hours.
okay.
I fucking hate my job.
Who are they?
I have left that bit behind too. I'm a Buddha.
Wait, where do you work again?
So for Travelers on the Omnibus, I'm Brady Davis.
I'm Jody Kite.
I'm Ethan Skinner.
I'm James McCarthy.
Bye, y'all.
Good night, good luck, good evening, good night, good morning,
Good afternoon.
and goodbye.
Yeah.
Next week, we'll be looking at the Cthulhu mythos in games.
Okay, yeah, now goodbye.
Okay.
Thanks for stopping by and enjoy the ride.
Bye-bye.
Yes.
Be more nerd. Get fucked.
Yeah.